You at least know how to announce me though. Like I'm with your squad. Like,
and we are live. What's going on out there? This is SCL032 representing JVS. I got a slew of amazing YouTubers, bloggers, and passionate fans of Star Wars in general to talk about the biggest movie, no matter what, this year in Star Wars: The Last Jedi. We're going to be talking spoilers. We're going to be talking theories. We're going to talk about things we liked, things we didn't like. But I'm going to give everybody opportunity here real quick to let them know who they are, what their channel is, or what their blog is. So we can just start with Shakeem and then go down the line.
Wow, no pressure. I'm Shakeem, better known as Keem. Kind of in transition with YouTube channels right now. So that's it.
Thanks for coming, Shakeem. Pat, tell a little bit about yourself, buddy.
Hey, I'm Patrick. I guess I'm from Earth 2 Comicast. So I do, especially we do the Star Trek reviews and stuff with Mo. And also we're doing Star Wars Rebels. So I'm excited to talk about this movie for sure.
Yeah, thanks for coming, Pat. I'm glad you finally got in on one of these, man. Michael, what's going on, bro?
What a dooski, people. My name is Michael, aka Fellow34, and I am a YouTuber. I do a lot of TV show and movie reactions and stuff like that, and just talk about movies.
All these great voices. God damn. Go ahead.
And then Keaton, a member of JVS himself. Tell us a little about yourself, man.
yo, you took my opening part. What's good? Yeah, it's Keaton. I've been working with JVS. Me and SEL been boys since literally we could walk. And we've been nerding out ever since. I finally got into JVS. I've been jumping on reviews for Game of Thrones and Wonder Woman and all kinds of nerd stuff. I'm happy to be here, and I've been trying to jump on this for a minute now. Just look me up on JVS's YouTube site, and yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm happy for you to be here, bro. And Walilu, CK61938, thank you for coming, bro. Tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
Okay, even though you can't see me, trust me, that's probably a good thing. So obviously, as Sam just said there, my name's CK61938. I am from the UK, Newcastle, northeast of England. Been doing YouTube videos since, well, almost a decade now, I think it's been going on. But the main channel, the only channel that I have now is obviously CK61938. On there, you'll find a host of Superman-related stuff, Smallville, TV reviews, including Arrow and Flash, various movie reviews, some comic book reviews as well. Not doing as much these days, just, you know, taking it one step at a time. I think the last movie review I did was actually Justice League. So, yeah, not as much as I used to do, but honestly, check out the channel. There's plenty of material on there if you guys want to see what I do. Cheers.
Yeah, thanks, CK, man. Y'all don't know, but part of the reason why I even started YouTube is because of this, man. So I really appreciate you, man, doing what you do.
No problem. You're welcome.
And then I got my man Jonathan Blackwing 2049. What's going on?
Okay, 2040, but I'll accept that as a mistake. But what's up, guys? I'm Blackwing 2040. I've been doing the YouTube thing since fall of 2013. I do movie reviews. I do this segment on my channel, Retro Throwbacks, where I talk about old cartoons I used to watch, you know, growing up. I do voice acting stuff on my channel and some top 10 videos. So anything like Marvel, DC, anything nostalgia, that's what my channel is all about. So thanks for having me here, Sam.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thanks for being here, bro. Got the great Iman Frost, Iman Snow.
Can you hear me? Hi, guys. My name is Iman. I go by Iman Snow on YouTube. I do reactions. That's my son. And, and yes, it's your lollipop. And yes, for sure. And so I do reactions to like The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, and a bunch of other cool shows. We just started Black Mirror, which is awesome. And so we do movie reviews sometimes as well. So yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, thanks for coming in, man.
Can I just quickly just butt in? Can I just say that you look very much like a Kristen Ritter vibe going on there?
Wow.
Yeah, Kristen Ritter, who plays Jessica Jones.
Oh, really?
Yeah. This is a vibe going on there.
Well, thank you.
You know what? I can see it.
Yeah. Just cosplayers.
I don't.
I feel like
Let it go.
All right.
I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go.
That's not even mean, bro.
It's not. Well, it's just. Nope. I just.
You know what? Because of his voice, I believed it for a second. I was like, yeah, she does. Wait, no, she doesn't.
So, got D the man. What's going on, bro?
How's it going, Sam? I'm seeing how we all like going down our whole resume. I'm D of 3 Black Geeks. I'm the leader of 3 Black Geeks. My buddy CJ is not on for whatever reason. I don't care. I'm not even going into it. He says hi. That's all y'all need to know about 3 Black Geeks. We do YouTube. Yeah. Don't get it twisted. Don't get that shit twisted. I know what it looked like. I know what it looks like. CJ wants to. He's the one that smooths everything over. Because me and
Galactic
DJ
Civil War. That's all I want to say.
I know. Nah. He's the one that always start like, "Hey guys, calm down. It's not that bad." Yes, Negro, it is that bad. And, so whatever. That's our whole dynamic. But anyway.
Yo, D, we've never met before, but we've talked plenty. This is Keaton, your cynical brother from another mother.
Yes, my brother.
It's good to finally meet you. It's good. It's good to hear. It's good to hear your voice. It's good to hear your voice, brother. I'm telling you, man.
The real reason now.
We in here.
Now, we in here. But check this out though. I know what it sounds. I know what it say. Oh, D, you the leader? Yes, I am. The reason why is because shit happens to you in life, and CJ. And no, hold on. I'm about to put on my boy CJ. CJ is one of the best friends of the world. He takes up where I can't pick up, and he.
What happened?
I don't know. I have no idea. They got kicked out.
Yo, I feel like he was about to tell me some real shit about CJ. Like, I'm really hurt right now. I'm like, yo, what was he about to say? Oh man, CJ was the key to season 3. Like, yo, I don't know. Like,
did D get kicked too?
Yeah, kicked and she kicked.
Well then I guess it's my turn now. So okay, go ahead.
Yo, who just kicked me off the call?
Sam said he the leader here, and you gotta go.
Yeah, he came rolling back like Wu-Tang.
What the hell just happened? I'm talking next thing I hear doo-doo-doo. I'm like, wait a minute, what?
But anywho,
I'm kicked my ass off the call. Joe.
I didn't do it. We gotta stay.
It's all good. It's all good. You know what? F it. 3 Black Geeks. We in here. We do everything except D&D. That's about it. We do everything else. So there you go. Go ahead.
No D&D?
No, you know what? No, because I wanted to get into it and nobody does it. I'm the only one that goes close to doing anything obviously. So
me and Patrick have a history of table topping, and
oh my God, I would love to do it.
Just Patrick has made a career out of it, so perhaps you should talk to him.
I have a buddy that's trying to make me do it with him, and he has this whole big thing where they do it every weekend. It's basically a bunch of drunk 40-year-olds that get drunk. So I'd rather do it with them.
I'll come.
Exactly. See,
drunk is the correct way to do it.
Someone say drunk.
And you know what I'm saying? Look, to me, it's like they all get drunk. It's about 5 of them, and I'm going to be the only black guy. So that's going to be awesome. And I'm
I got you, fam. I got you.
I heard
I've been drinking since 11 o'clock this morning.
I heard touch the stuff myself, but I would join you for that.
Who are you,
bruh? Yeah. Go ahead, but anyway, go ahead. Go on with the rest of the crew.
I'm gonna be quiet.
Tell us about yourself.
Who?
You.
Oh. This could take a while.
You over there sucking on that Heineken bottle like it's giving you life and shit. You.
It might be. Don't judge him. It might be.
Right.
That's a senzu bean, my dog. That's a senzu bean. Don't hate.
Bringing me back.
Hey, I'm sorry. Look, dude, I'm a stoner. I don't understand what it is with liquor, man. I can't fuck with y'all with that, man. That's y'all.
Only thing keeping me together. All right. Well, I'm the drunk geek. I'm Anthony. I do some YouTube videos. I usually show up on Three Black Geeks or JVS, and right now I'm mainly part of Earth 2 Comicast with Patrick, Mo. We do a Star Trek show every week when Discovery's on, and we do Rebel shows. Also, me, Keem, and Lou, and T, we also do stuff. I think that's in transition right now, so I can't speak on that. But welcome. All right, thank you for having me. I don't know what I'm going to say after that. See you.
Nothing else. Because we need. I don't even know how long we've been on. We have not talked about Star Wars: The Last Jedi yet.
Oh yeah, man. We spent the first hour feeling ourselves. Like, yeah, for real.
This is about Star Wars?
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So here we go. All right. So this is how it's out. Okay, everybody. So we have not, collectively talked about what we really feel about it. Some of it at one time. I'd like to generally say these options. Whether you thought the Last Jedi was great, whether you thought the Last Jedi was good, whether you thought it was okay, whether you thought it was bad. Brief reason why, and then we'll move forward to the next part of this because we need to get this out of the air first, okay?
Just so we can just, give each other dirty looks first, just get that over with, or?
I feel like we're going to tailor the discussion.
How can you?
If you want to go first.
Who's going first? You skipped out for a second.
Me?
Okay.
Is this ladies first thing? Chivalry and shit.
I say it should be ladies first. We over there, I'm just saying.
That works. Can everybody hear me?
I was about to figure out a way to beg Sam for me to go first, but you know what? This is fine.
Yeah. Let me have this. Thank you. Okay. So your question was the rating. So I'm going to say I felt it was between good and great. I'm not going to say great because there were questions that I had watching and kind of little comments that I was making to myself. The reason I felt it was between good and great is just as somebody who's only followed basically the movies, like I haven't gotten into like the other series and the different graphic novels and stuff on it.
I've tried. I send you clips all the time, but
and I ignore each and every one of them. But for me, it just hit like all of the stuff that's always made me like, even as a little girl, like throwing a tantrum because the movie sold out and I really wanted to go see it. Like this hit all of the things that I needed to see just to like just renew that little bit of nostalgia in me and make me like happy to see it. And they got a couple of feels off of me too. So that's good, between good and great to me.
Respect. I appreciate the honesty with that one. Patrick.
So I am a little bit more media. So I would say that I thought it was like a B- movie, but a C+ Star Wars movie. That makes sense because I kind of grade Star Wars a little higher. And I really liked one of the storylines, and I was disappointed with one of the other storylines. So I didn't really. I felt like Finn and Rose were kind of. They didn't really know exactly what to do with them. So they kind of like gave them a story where not a lot happens, which was disappointing because I wanted Finn and Rose to be more integral to what was going on. And so that was a little disappointing. Also, I would have cut back the humor by like at least a third. Like I like that there is humor in Star Wars, but every time you do this thing where there's like drama, ooh, it's a funny beat. That only works if you don't expect the funny beat. And they did that like way too much in this movie. However, Chewie eating that porg was amazing. That's what I'll say.
Yes. That's really good synopsis. What did you think?
Who?
Is this me again?
Michael.
Oh, me?
Damn it.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear you call my name. My bad. So for me, Star Wars: Last Jedi, despite there being some really cool things, I think later on in the movie as it progressed, I honestly didn't find myself. I think I didn't like it. Now by that I mean I definitely did like some certain scenes in the movie, but I found that to come only in the last maybe 45 minutes of the film, and everything else I found sort of. I've had a really big problem with the pacing in the film. Some of the storylines, like you were saying, I had some issues with. And while I did like some things, overall, I found myself disappointed and just I didn't like The Last Jedi all too much.
No, I appreciate your honesty again, Michael. We're going to get into negatives a little bit later on. Keaton, you're up to bat.
Last Jedi. I liked it the first time. The second time through, I realized that it was garbage. And I won't say garbage. What I will say is the flaws stuck out more to me the second time around. The story was fine, but I hate when you have one movie and you set up plot lines and story, and then you de-evolve it to go towards something completely different and unnecessary and dumb in the second. And I thought there were a lot of unnecessary and dumb things in this one, but I still came away thinking to myself, oh, wow, I can't wait till the third one gets here. And so whenever I feel that way, I end up giving the movie a pretty good score. So I'm on the line, but very cynical.
No, that's cool. I appreciate that. CK, what did you think?
Yeah, well, I actually did enjoy it. Me and my girlfriend, we both went to we did the double bill here in the UK on Wednesday the 13th. So we saw The Force Awakens at 9 o'clock on the Wednesday night, and then just after midnight was when they did the Last Jedi. So, and I think that's probably the first time that either of us have actually done two movies back to back at the cinema, especially for the same franchise. Anyway, I've done multiple movies in one day before by myself, but I think for the same franchise, the first time I've ever done it. But we really did enjoy it. There were some very standout moments. The only thing for me that I found a bit far-fetched, if that's possible in such a franchise as this, is Leia still coming back to life when she was frozen in space. You know, I sort of found that to be a bit, okay, I know she's got the Force in her, but is that even possible? You know, and that for me, I just thought, okay. And then she was in a coma for a bit, and then, you know, she came to and pretty much kicked poor old Poe's ass from what he did as well. And I guess at the same time, I know underneath, if you look underneath as well, there was a lot of political messages, feminist messages as well. I had nothing wrong with nothing for me. There was nothing wrong with that at all. I know a lot of people had some issues with that, but I didn't have a problem with that at all. But overall, I would say for me, the standout characters, I would say were Rey, Luke, and I want to say Finn, but I kind of felt that he was a bit underplayed. But Rose was awesome. I wasn't happy with how Snoke went, though. I thought that he was still going to stay till, you know, probably to the third movie. And I was hoping that maybe Snoke was in fact, you know, Darth Plagueis as well. But we'll never know. We'll never know.
No, I appreciate that, CK. Jonathan, what are your thoughts?
For me, going into this movie, I just want to figure, like, with a title like The Last Jedi, you're not too sure on what's gonna happen. So with me, this movie really, like, there were points in this movie where it had me at the edge of my seat, like, more than once.
I need the balance right
now.
now.
I'm someone who's, like, easily impressed. I don't always look for, like, the bad in things. Of course, there are some things that make me question certain moments, but I mainly focus on the good factors of the film. And for me, I say this movie was great, and I would say Luke really had the most standout moments, and I would say this is probably one of the best performances that Mark Hamill has ever done. as Luke Skywalker. Same thing goes for Carrie Fisher. One of her performances as Princess Leia. I'd say it was great for me. That's all I can say.
That's straight, man. I appreciate that. Iman, you're up next.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this film actually. So when I went on Twitter and I saw that there were wars going on, I was kind of confused because I thought it was really good. So if I would give it a score, it would be like 8.5 or 9 out of 10 because there were some inconsistencies and I had questions that just, they didn't answer. But I know in my head, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to find out in the third movie. Like, I wasn't like frustrated. I was like, all right, it's just going to take me time to find out. I really enjoyed Kylo and Rey's dialogue together. That was like my favorite part. Just almost every scene with the two of them. Because I was unsure the whole time, is Kylo gonna go good? Is she gonna go bad? Like that was a conflict in my own head until the very last, minute pretty much. So I enjoyed it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I understand that Star Wars is huge and there's people who is the same with like the Lord of the Rings and the Matrix and things like that, where people have all this lore and, people are going to get upset because of other things, but I don't know. I enjoyed it as just a regular fan. So, and I mean, I know we'll get into like what we liked. And so I won't talk about that yet, but yeah, I think it was a good movie.
Nah, I appreciate that, Iman. D, you had an interesting outburst, but what did you think about the movie?
Actually, that outburst was something totally different. I didn't know my hand hit mute or whatever that was right there. That was my fault. That's actually a tough question. While I did not at all, and while I did think it was good, it reminded me of a good-looking car that the engine is really not as powerful and as good as you think it is. Like it's flawed. It's a good movie, but it's very flawed, and multiple sections of the movie is just flawed to me. There were a bunch of scenes where I won't even say a bunch. That's a little bit too much. I didn't like the writing. I didn't like the pacing of the movie, and I didn't like some of the dialogue, and I didn't like some of the where it was just, oh, look at that, and it felt empty to me. But there was a lot of good there. There was still a lot of good there. If I can grade it, I'm still leaning on. I give it a B minus, but to be really honest, it's like a C plus to me. It's not as. And it's not like I had high expectations. Let me make that very clear. It's not like I had high expectations for the movie or anything like that. Like I wanted it to blow me away or anything like that. It's just that when I saw it, I told myself, I'm going to enjoy it the second time around, but I'm still going to see the flaws in it. It's like a roach that's on the wall that ain't moving. Like, yeah, it ain't creeping you out, but it's still there. It's still staring you. It's still going to be
until it flies. Until it flies, and then you
got a problem. And then you got a problem. Yes. And then you got a problem. That's
first house, Anthony.
No, that's actually,
right.
Actually, you know what, Anthony? What I think about, that's kind of what DC does. Like, yes, it's fine, it's flawed.
Wait, no, we're not talking about DC. I just said we're not talking about DC. We're talking about Star Wars. No. Miss me with that bull. No.
Chill out, dude.
We are not talking about. We're not talking about DC. No. I will log out. I'm logging out.
Log out then. Light skin, come back later when you're.
Did you just call me light skin? I'm the darkest dude here.
Hey,
how you gonna call me light skin?
Don't be putting us in this.
I'm Wesley Snipes right now. How you gonna call me light skin?
Oh, dang, I'm sorry. I thought my bad. I thought it was Anthony, man.
Yeah, you're bad. You're bad. I'm dark as hell. What?
Oh my God, brother, why you doing this?
Exactly.
Why you doing this?
I'm offended that you called me light skin.
I'm light skin.
The only way I'm light skin is if you compare me to like Vanta Black. Like Let's be real. Let's be real. I know where I stand. I know where I stand.
Forrest Whitaker's neck.
I know where I
issues. This is why
I know where I stand.
But look, check it out. But actually, hold up. But for real, like I said, it's flawed. It's just flawed. It's good, but it's flawed. That's pretty much where I was going before somebody wanted to be funny. Anyway, let's go ahead.
Anyway,
somebody call me. If I could just, never have I ever. I swear to God.
If I could just butt in, Keaton, you think you're the blackest person here? It's a good job.
Is the London guy getting at me? Is the British guy getting at me?
It's a good job. It's a good job you can't see me because I'm dark. I'm dark.
Hey, you hear him, man?
I hear him. He trying
to catch a fade. That's what he's trying to do, right?
Idris Elba speaks. Idris Elba speaketh.
I know, right?
Just so you know, I was actually born in Nigeria.
Okay, you win.
You dealing with ultra black. You dealing with the back.
You win. I'm gonna hold that 12th letter right now. That's an L for me. You take it. You take it.
You dealing with you dealing with a dark you never dealt with. You dealing with the inside of Wesley Snipes' thigh. That's that thought. That's what you did.
This is the exact opposite of Hoth. I'm trying to make it back to Star Wars.
I don't remember this in The Last Jedi.
What family?
Okay, let's just go back to Sam now so he can direct us to where we're going.
I was about to start throwing mutes out. I was about to start throwing mutes out, and I'm trying to stay civil. Anthony, you last, not least. Yes, what did you think about The Last Jedi?
Well, Bawani. I thought it was a good movie because it had really shitty stuff in it and had really great moments in it. So it probably lands somewhere between like a C+, B- for me. I love Drunk Yoda. He was my favorite part. When I saw him, everything in me as a little boy came out, and I was like, man, all this time I've been trying to drink with Yoda in the woods. I don't know where.
Man, that dude was high as fuck. What you talking about?
And Yoda came back from the dead to troll Luke, to troll him. So I love that part. I thought there were 3 storylines going on, right? And 2 of them were one was great, one was and then the other one just didn't make any sense for the whole movie. The Finn Rose thing, you could cut that whole part out and still made the same movie. It didn't need to be there. I think that either it was again to put more separation between Finn and Rey. They didn't know what to do with Finn. I don't know, but it just didn't belong in there. You could have did the same thing with the little boy at the end. If you cut them out, it would have been the same movie. I thought that I love seeing Luke. I have issues with some of the things they did with it, but the little boy in me, that the first time they saw Star Wars, when Luke Skywalker's on the screen, being Luke Skywalker, it's hard for me not to fanboy out. Yeah, and then it was just a lot of wasted moments. There was a lot of wasted moments in the film, and I think that I'm less excited. This is the first time I think I've been less excited for a Star Wars movie. So Episode 9 is not really high on my expectation list. There's going to have to be a really good trailer to bring me back into it. And I guess we're going to go over goods and negatives as we go on, but that's where I'm feeling it right now.
Yeah. No, Anthony, I thought that was a perfect description of what a lot of people felt about the movie. One of the things we're going to talk about is the fact that people leaving The Force Awakens had their own thoughts and questions coming out of it. And a lot of people went into The Last Jedi thinking they were going to at least get some of those questions answered, and they didn't. The expectation was that, all right, I'm going to get to know who this person's parents are. I'm going to get to know what's going to happen with this character. I'm going to theorize that, okay, this person's going to go to the dark, this person's going to go to light. And basically what Rian Johnson did, every theory that kind of went out there, every question, none of that got answered and none of that went the way that it was supposed to. We got a good taste of reality that we have no idea platforming forward where Episode 9 is going to go. There's not even really a villain setup. So a lot of people left the movie very sour, and they didn't look at the movie as a movie. They looked at it as okay, this failed as a sequel to them. This failed as a Star Wars lore film to them. I was just going to ask you guys personally, do you guys kind of agree that a lot of people came in with a lot of
it felt like a season 4 episode of Lost. It felt like a season 4 episode of Lost.
I'm just tired of arguing over Rey's parents, and I don't want to argue over it for another 2 years. That's
It's
all.
not about race. It's not
Tired
about
of
raised
it.
parents though. It's about
Raising
so
my
anybody to watch Lost, like they brought
One
up
at a time.
questions. Oh, I'm sorry.
Anthony,
But
Anthony, you got the floor right now, but one at a time.
all right, but they brought up questions. You brought up questions in The Force Awakens, and it's good. You sparked our imagination, you sparked our interest, and then you didn't fulfill on it. So like if you watched Lost the series, it was only supposed to be 2 seasons. Creators came up with these mysteries, and they had to keep coming up with mysteries, and then they never answered them at the end. It felt like that little girl that moves the football away from Charlie Brown as he runs towards it. That little
Lucy.
bit. Lucy,
That
little bit.
was Rian Johnson, and then the fan base was the kid trying to kick it.
Yeah, trying to kick it, and it's moved out the way. Like, oh no, none of this stuff matters. And it wasn't like we're clever. It doesn't even feel like to me. There were some things that didn't line up with the Force Awakens, and it feels like they don't have a map. It doesn't feel like they have really a guideline. They're just going, and so I felt it didn't line up, and that not answering anything or not giving us logical leads to other things kind of ruins the experience for me.
Mm-hmm. Nah, it's fair. Keaton, you up?
All right. Ray's lineage threw me off. That was one of the biggest things for me. The thing when they went with the whole, oh, Ray, look, like, who are your parents? That was so bad to me because the thing is, we've had 6 movies now. We've had 6 movies, and they've all been about the Skywalkers. Every single one of them, no matter what, it all delves back to the Skywalkers. And suddenly you're saying, oh, here's a brand new series, and we're going off the grid, and it's not about the Skywalkers. And Ray's parents, guess what? One worked at TJ Maxx and one worked at Chick-fil-A. And
thank you.
And we're sitting here and we're like, oh yeah, we're totally supposed to believe this. And that's come on. This has been around, like, when you've been around for at least 30 years, like, there's certain things you just don't change. There's certain things you don't change. And you're sitting here telling me, like, oh, yeah, Ray doesn't mean anything. Like, her parents worked at, like, Target, and none of it matters. And one of them worked at a skating rink and was really good at Mortal Kombat 3. and it doesn't matter because now everyone can make a broomstick float. And they
with no training
at all. But look, they have this magic like Green Lantern Blackest Night ring that they got from Comic-Con in 2003. No one cares. Like, and I'm like, okay, you're literally, I get that Disney wants to do this thing where they're like, hey, let's disregard the 387 books that have come out and do our own thing.
Preach. I
get that that's what Disney wants to do, but you can't do that. You can't ball it up and put it in the trash. You can't just do that. At best, what you can do is pull a magic school bus, bring it in, look at the content, make something interesting out of it, and explain it to the people.
I hear that.
Give us something to do with what's already there. They're literally taking things up, balling it up in the trash can, and telling people to like it. And right now, the only people that are liking it are Rotten Tomatoes because they're being paid to. But that's a subject for a different day. That's a subject for a different day. But I hate that what they're doing is saying, hey, look, we get what we gave you in this first movie. Disregard what we gave you in the first movie of this trilogy. Disregard what we gave you in the 6 movies before this trilogy. We're balling it, all of it up, throwing it in a trash can, and just throwing this at you in this movie. I don't like it. It doesn't feel right. It feels extremely rushed. It feels extremely lazy. And I feel like the people that made this movie are just sort of like feeling themselves just so they can look back on Wikipedia one day and be like, look how we changed this, rather than look what we did great with this.
Bruh, I actually agree. I agree with you 100%. To me, it's a double-edged sword. See, I'm all for them doing something different. I'm all for you taking the storyline where it went differently, despite there being so many books. I'm with you doing something different. But what you do when you do something different and have no connection to the main story, or try to apart from what made that special, you're seeing it right now. There's a bunch of people right now like, holy shit, that has nothing to do with what I've learned the last six movies, 7 movies. I have seen something totally different, something I'm all for doing things different. I'm all for going against the grain. I'm all for trying and failing. I'm really big on trying and failing. But this is what happens when you try and fail and you piss off a fan base. That's the reason why there's so many fights online. It has little to do about the quality of the movie. It's a good movie. The story is, but when you really look at it, it doesn't make any sense to people who have seen it since the very beginning.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it being anybody. Like that Rey comes from nothing. Like I actually kind of like that. I think what Johnson was going for in the movie was this idea, especially if you think about the kid at the end, that like anybody can grow up to kind of be Luke Skywalker. The problem is if that's the crux of the plot, if that's like what Johnson's trying to tell as a story, Rey gets this information from the most unreliable source possible, which is Kylo Ren. Like Kylo Ren is the wrong person to be delivering that message. And also there was a lot of hinting as to, well, maybe Rey and Kylo are brother and sister and all this kind of stuff. And so now we have another 2 years of arguing over who Rey's parents are, which A, I just don't want to deal with that arguing anymore. And B, it actually hurts the movie because if the movie is supposed to be about how any one of us can rise up to be a Jedi, but then the very like core of that idea is hung on Kylo Ren saying something that we're unsure of, then it kind of like hurts. It hurts the theme of the movie, in my opinion.
Well, you throw a red herring in the movie, but yeah, see that's what happens when you throw a red herring in the movie for no fucking reason.
Yeah,
that's
and
really what happens.
And what you said about like how like suddenly anyone can be a Jedi. I get that they kind of wanted to go with that, but they've never actually gone with it. Like in the original trilogy, it was the Skywalkers that were special. In the prequel trilogies, it was the Skywalkers that were special. Molecules literally got them.
Are you sure about that? Midichlorians? Are you sure about that?
Yeah, that's what I just said. I said midichlorians. Like midichlorians out of nowhere made him a great pod racer. Like that's the thing. The Skywalker name means something in Star Wars, and to suddenly say, oh, by the way, anyone can be a Jedi, like fine, they can say that, but the only way I feel like that would fit is if literally every single person played like the Cal Katarn games from like the last 3 video game systems. Like that's the only way that fits. Say? Like we gotta be some heavy nerds for that to fit.
Mm-hmm. Patrick, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I mean, I was just gonna say that Anakin like came from nothing. Like Anakin comes as the son of a slave, right? Like
he's the beginning.
He comes further back in Star Wars history, and hopefully we're moving further forward in Star Wars history. And so I don't know that. I think what they're trying to do is set up telling more Star Wars stories. It's Disney, right? They want to be able to tell Star Wars stories for the next 100 years.
Yeah.
Like honestly,
so I think, but like, I guess
sure, but
can I say one thing? Can I say one thing? The thing here's the thing about that. I get wanting to tell Star Wars stories, but Anakin Skywalker was like, he came from a virgin birth. No one cares about who came after Jesus.
How do we know?
Well, that's not true at all. But
like that's. I get what you're saying, like as far as like I get what you're saying as far as like we're gonna set up like all this other stuff, but you can't have the biggest deal and then be like, oh, by the way, who cares about all this little stuff?
The first religion to have virgin birth was not Christianity, but let's
say who was first. I never said who was first. I just gave a reference. That's from what I know. I'm sorry.
This is what happens when you bring up Jedi as a religion. See, this shit happens all the time.
My bad.
So there have been many special people in the Force in the non-canonical lore now, right? So even in the old Republic games, the guy the old Jedi, the crazy, the mean surly one was like, oh yeah, you were talking about Destiny? I knew a kid that had Destiny once. His Destiny was falling a reactor and caused this thing to blow up. Like so you have those people that do there, that the Force does call for a Destiny type thing. And then you have like the power levels and why people are certain power, right? They have certain connections to the Force.
Okay.
I think my issue with the way they're portraying Star Wars in these movies is that anybody can pick up a lightsaber and they just go, oh, if you know how to fight, then you probably could fight with a lightsaber that has no balancing blade on it or anything like that. And it's just, no, it's easy. Everybody, hey, Finn can do it, Rey can do it, because anybody can use a lightsaber.
Yeah.
Anybody can use what was considered advanced Jedi techniques. You don't need any training; just know they exist and do it.
Right.
All those years and decades of training, these force sensitives and Sith and Night Sisters and Jedi practice. You didn't need that.
Old people foolery.
Right. Just you can do it. So what they did before
Google
in the other movies, you had subtle hints that somebody was force sensitive. Like, how can Anakin be a pod racer? Humans don't have fast enough reflexes. Anakin naturally can see a couple seconds in the future, and that's why he can do it. Luke can do this thing with these. He can fly and shoot womp rats that are really small that people can't shoot because it's Luke. So when you take that away, and now that it's even worse, like I used to saw, like, I think Rey's really twinky, like she had no real flaws and she was just great at everything. And I was like, but you know what? Maybe she got trained before and she got mind wiped. And I was like, that's what I was hoping to see in this, where some explanation. Instead, they went further. They were like, no, Rey could just mind trick people without any training, but also this kid can call a broom like it's nothing.
Yeah, they literally were like, are you from a planet full of sand? Because that means you can be a great Jedi. Like, that's
right. So you take away people take Jedi as superheroes. I think they're taking Jedi as superheroes right now, instead of, you might have a strong spiritual connection, but you still need to meditate, find that connection, learn how to access it, learn how to hone it, and have a philosophy of how to connect to it, not just I'm powerful with the Force, I'm just going to grab this broom or I'm going to mind trick people. We've never seen that before.
Right.
And I think it takes away from the Eastern philosophy that Jedi was based on.
It does.
You know what? That's the funny, and see, that's the thing that kills me. And I said this when we was in the movie theater, and I said to you, Sam, at least with Neo, we got an excuse why he knew Kung Fu. At least we saw him get the knowledge of Kung Fu. Rey just woke up like that. No explanation. No.
She just woke, fam.
Like from the beginning, we had like, oh, Jedi are these really amazing people, and then later on, we were like, Jedi are so many amazing people, and a lot of people
monks,
Jedi
monks. They were warrior monks.
Yeah. Now at this point, after this movie, it's like there's two kinds of people. There's people that sell Allstate insurance, and there's Jedi. Like, there's only two, though. Like, before, it was like, wow, Jedi are really special. And then it's like, either you're Jedi or you're trash. Like, that's where they've related it to. Because at the end of the movie, we saw a random orphan, like, just make a broom float. And I was like, I was just confused. I was like, what kind of sword in the stone BS is this? Like, okay, like, all right, so anybody can just be a Jedi now without any kind of training?
Yeah, because Rey isn't a Jedi. Rey isn't a Jedi.
She hung out with Joker for like 2 hours, and now she.
So just real quick, Michael and Jonathan both got a comment. No shade.
No shit.
Shade. Michael, what you gotta say?
Yeah, so we were talking about the whole Rey's lineage for this, right?
Yeah.
The first thing I gotta say is when I was watching the film, I didn't get the impression that was set in stone, because that whole situation was Kylo Ren was just trying to finesse her to join his cause. So when he said your parents are nothing, you're just an orphan girl, whatever it is, to me, I was just kind of like, I don't believe that. I could totally see that being explained later on, that there actually is some importance to his parents, to her parents, sorry. But apart from that, my reasons for not necessarily liking the movie, maybe the majority for people is like it didn't follow people's expectations or what they thought was going to happen from theories online, because I've been seeing a lot of people pushing that online. I mean, I like Star Wars. I like episode 4 and 5 a lot. I'm not the biggest fan of 6, and the new ones I'm like whatever with. And I just didn't like the film for what it was in itself, for me personally. That's my opinion on the matter. So I don't really subscribe to that theory where it's like, oh, I didn't like the film because of theories. I didn't like the film for just what it was and what they offered in terms of like sort of the execution, the dialogue, the pacing was something that bothered the fuck out of me, and just the first like hour 45 of that film. But we can keep going along because we've been talking a lot. Sorry.
Nah, you're fine. You're fine. Jonathan, what were you gonna say?
Okay, so pretty much we're going about like negatives of the movie, right?
I mean, whatever way you want to kind of bring it up. I mean, the whole point was that I walked out of the movie personally myself with so many questions that did not get answered. I felt like things that I thought should have happened didn't, and the questions that I had didn't get answered. And so moving forward, I was like, I don't know how to feel about this movie. The second time I watched it, you know what I'm saying, I took a whole different set of lenses. I didn't have any prior expectations. I didn't have any thought process on what I was going to get. I just knew that from what they gave me some of the most amazing Star Wars moments that I had ever really seen. Some of the best performances I had ever seen. Definitely one of the best filmed ones. But it was like those problems and those questions are still there. I was able to enjoy it a little bit better the second time around. But there's so many people out there that they feel hurt because they didn't get any kind of answers and they got stuff just thrown out. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if it was necessarily merited. And then to Keaton's point, I don't think that it is true. I don't think that getting information from Kylo Ren is the best source of believing. Like, Kylo Ren could sit there and be like, okay, your parents were nothing. That's the same way I think about my parents. I see, you know, Han Solo as a scavenger is nothing. I see my mother as something I have to see as nothing. So he could honestly be twins and he wouldn't even tell her no matter what. It's just the way that the movie positioned it, it was catered to one set thing that anybody's force sensitive. The force has broken itself out to everybody, which isn't necessarily true based on the mythos. But either way you want to put it, Jonathan, I mean, it's up to you, whatever way you want.
Oh yeah, so yeah, I kind of got the gist of what you were saying. For me, walking out of the theater, I did pretty much the main question I was asking, what happens next, or where do they go from here? But yeah, going back, you know, hearing your guys' plot points and everything, and what you guys think were missing. Yes, the part with Rey trying to figure out who her parents were, the whole moment, I'm like, is this really necessary? And then just seeing if it actually reveals to her, like, who her parents were, and then turns out like, no, we're not going to show you yet. I felt like that was a big smack in the face. The moments with Rey and Kylo Ren, like, pretty much, you know, having their forced conversation everywhere, and Snoke saying he was the one that made that connection, that kind of threw me off as well, because yes, we noticed that I felt like she sensed that Kylo Ren was still conflicted at the same time, but I just didn't know, like, where was he going to go from here? Because also with him killing Snoke, I felt it was cool to see, but I didn't think you need to kill him off so soon. And then after that, you know, seeing them just fight the soldiers and all that, and then suddenly they just break off into being enemies again. I'm like, where are you guys going with this? It's just like, what just happened from here?
And who's
I definitely
Snoke?
feel you on that.
Who's Snoke?
It just, and I definitely agree with you on that. And like you said, like Sam, you're saying there's a lot of moments in this film that were some of the best, you know, lightsaber battles, some of the best, you know, individual moments maybe in the whole kind of Star Wars franchise. But what kind of bothered me was just like, up until those few moments, I couldn't justify it being a good movie, in my opinion, or me liking it from all the other things I was so evident to me, pointing out like, oh, this dialogue, this plot line's useless, this and this, and how unengaged I was with the film until maybe the last 45 minutes for me personally. Like some of the stuff with Snoke, it's like, how is this man gonna be the one who was pulling the strings and whatnot? Get so like indulged in this conversation and like kind of gloating over Kylo Ren that he can't acknowledge this lightsaber right next to him being moved. He was controlling their Skype conversation throughout the whole entire film, which I kind of found a little goofy, honestly, initially.
Well, or maybe not. They had it after
Snoke
he
was
died,
a wireless router, man.
Well, they had it after
Snoke was
he
just
died.
a wireless router. That's all he was, bro.
No, they had it after he died too. So that's kind of, we're not sure if that's true either.
I don't know if that's true. I agree with Anthony, because after he died, they still had that connection no matter what. That's what leads people to believe the charm bracelet and that connection, that they're twins, that they are related, that they are brother and sister. So it's like
the legends.
The
Which
movie,
would be the legends.
I really thought
the movie leads you into this misleading answers. Like, there's answers that you get but they feel misleading. They feel fleeting. Even like I kind of put into the chat just a second ago, how are you going to allow Rey to go into the darkness blindly and not leave out of it unscathed? You know, she was sitting there. The first thing she was doing was talking to Kylo Ren about how alone she felt. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, she is so desperate to know who her parents are. This feels like Anakin. This is something that Anakin wanted to do. Anakin wanted to do by any means necessary, protect his mom, protect his family, protect people he loved. That is where there's an escape to the darkness. And I was sitting there thinking this amazing moment when Kylo killed, you know what I'm saying, Snoke. I thought, you know, she was going to be pissed at Kylo because Kylo was like, okay, I am free now. We can leave out of here. We need to go. And she'd be like, no, he needs to give me answers. You killed the thing I need answers for. And they didn't go down that route. They didn't allow her to even look like she was even going to be potentially dark. So that for me was like a theory that, I mean, maybe it was misguided on my own account. But it was like, even in the fight in The Force Awakens, I saw where she could easily go to the darkness. And it just, everything just comes so naturally to her. It was easy to see if she doesn't have the right teacher, she could go and sway. And she doesn't have anything to fall back on but Finn. And that was the biggest negative I had. Is in The Force Awakens, Finn was a primary character that kept her grounded. And she was the thing that kept him motivated. You know what I'm saying? And he got pushed to the side in this. And he was not a primary character. And he was, in my opinion, ill-serviced. And I felt like their relationship, it was non-existent in this movie. So that was one of the biggest negatives that I had. I was like, what are you trying to say? You're trying to tell me that Finn, everything that he's been doing up to this point has been for Rey. And now, you know, he's just...
He's got a new girl.
Nah, man. Bro. Keita, what you got to
man?
say?
Look, y'all gotta understand, man. Y'all gotta understand. Finn is a bland character. Can we just say that Finn is bland?
We can say that, but I got something to say before that. Something to say. It's a flag before the play. Disney, man. Fuck Disney. I swear to God. This is my biggest issue with the whole movie. From that first movie in the trilogy, they were like, oh, Finn and Rey. This is great. Look, we're going to do something different. Interracial. This is going to be crazy. Y'all ain't ready for this. Like, they were yelling, y'all ain't ready for this. Like 106 in Park. Like, they were yelling, y'all ain't ready for this. Like, yelling it. And then all the way through the movie, they were like, actually, Finn.
You know what?
Actually, Finn, we're going to give you a semi-cute Asian girl so that Rey can, one or two, because they did it 2 times in the movie. They were like, hey, Rey, here's shirtless Kylo Ren. And since we don't know if y'all brother and sister, we can make that sexually awkward. Or, hey, look. Or, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I saw that.
Look at Poe with his jawline, and look how pale he suddenly is. We can set you up with him so
what do
that
you mean?
then...
Wait, hold on. What do you mean? Oscar Isaac is Guatemalan. He is not pale. Like, first of all, I'm just gonna say something.
He was looking pale. I'm sorry. I was just mad. I apologize. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. I will be completely honest with you. I will be completely honest with you.
I thought he was Italian.
I will be completely honest with you. But when I was watching this, I was so mad that I was just like, he's lighter than Finn, and he looking like he got a Batman ass jawline. Like, I was just offended. I was just mad. I'll be honest with you. He is a minority. I'll give you that. But I was just mad because in Force Awakens, I was just like, okay, I see you, Finn. I see you, Disney. Y'all about to do this different thing. I see y'all. And then all of a sudden they were like, actually, nah, we're going to give you this because we need Rey to go with one of these 2 options. And
but I don't think she's gonna go with a guy. I think
I don't know.
And
you know what? I'll be fine with that. I promise you.
That's what they're trying to show us.
If that's what they do, I'll be fine with it. I promise. I'll be fine
like,
with it.
Look at Luke.
And when we do,
Luke has no women.
None.
Right?
And I was
So
surprised
that
they
might
did that.
That might be where Ray is going.
Exactly. And I'm not gonna lie. If episode 9 hits and they do that, I will be completely fine with it. But it left a bad taste in my mouth. It did. It left a bad taste in my mouth at the end of this one when they were when suddenly they were like, hey, let me throw in this semi-cute girl to lay one on Finn, and then pass out just so they can make things awkward. Because I was like,
I love you. With random I
right,
love you.
with a random, I'm like, how you gonna say I love you for no?
I wouldn't say it was a random. Look, I wouldn't say it's random. They kind of built to that. I will say she built to that.
They didn't know each other for a day. They didn't know each other for a day.
Because I'm not gonna lie. I got concerned, and my wife got concerned about this too. We both got concerned with this because at the beginning of the movie, when we first saw her with the matching bracelet, our first thought was, oh man, Disney just did a lesbian couple. Oh wow, I can't believe they did that. And then suddenly she was like, oh no, that was my sister. And I was like, I see what they about to do. They about to do a Tyson.
Too much faith in Disney, man.
I know, man. I know. And then they did a Tyson Beckford. They were like, Black and Asian. Okay. Okay. And I was so mad.
See, you gotta get the Chinese audiences.
I was mad. Now, I'll be completely honest with you. When gauging this movie, I tried my best to delve away from that because I realized I have a biased opinion. I can't sit here and lie and say I have an unbiased opinion when it comes to that specific subject. But it did bother me because I was like, okay, you threw the Rey and Finn connection at us this whole movie and then just threw it off the map in this next movie. And also, I'm going to apologize right now because I'm pretty sure it wasn't my turn to talk and I just jumped in. No. So I apologize to whoever's turn it was because I don't want to tread on any feet and I don't want to step on any toes. But yeah, that was one of the biggest things that bothered me this whole movie.
No,
Sam.
CK, I know you got to go, CK. So just leave your closing positives and negatives and your final thoughts about the movie moving forward, bro.
Yeah. So basically, for me, as I say, I did enjoy the film overall. Yes, there were some bits where, as Keaton has so eloquently touched on, especially with the whole Finn, Rey, Rose, Kylo love square. That's definitely one to discuss and to see where Finn and Rey, their relationship may go come episode 9, if it ever gets to that stage. What's Poe's role in all of this as well? Where is Kylo headed? Do we know? I have no idea. I still find, I'm going to miss Luke. I'm definitely going to miss him. He, for me, was, he was the glue that held the film together, basically. Yes. 100%. As far as I was concerned, he was the glue that held the film together. Now that he's going to be in Force mode, as they always do when the Jedi have gone, it'll be interesting to see what sort of guidance he will be giving Rey in episode 9, if any at all. And my big negative is still how Leia survived in space. But again, I'm just still going to put that down to the fact that she's obviously a Skywalker, and the Force is very much in her blood as much as it is in her brothers as well. Yes, other random moments I've heard everybody talking as well about, that kid at the end, how he was able to move the broom without actually picking it up himself, and gazing up in the stars as well. And you're thinking, okay, he's going to be a Jedi. And yeah, I also felt like Rey's parents, it's almost as if they didn't serve a purpose in her life. I mean, why did we get visions of her being young, screaming up at a spaceship as it's flying out of Jakku, saying, please come back, and yet there's Kylo saying, you know the truth about your parents, you know who they were. And I'm thinking, were they people significantly important? But it's like, no, actually they weren't. They were just, you know, poor people who just had boring jobs. And it's like, okay, so there's nothing really significantly special about Rey in that sense. You know, with Anakin, he was created from the midichlorians. He then got married to Padme. She gives birth to the twins. They're strong with the Force. You know, all of that. You know, as was said earlier, as someone touched on, that Star Wars has pretty much been about the Skywalkers. You know, from episode 1 to episode 6, even now into episode 8, it's always been about that family. Now that we're bringing in this new bunch with Rey, Finn, Poe, it just feels like, in a way, that Rey doesn't really have. She just feels like she doesn't actually have a purpose. She wants to know what her purpose is, but it's like her upbringing just serves no real purpose as to who she's actually meant to be. We know Luke's purpose, we know Anakin's purpose, we know Leia's purpose, we know Padme's purpose. You know, we even know who Obi-Wan Kenobi's purpose. But why don't we know Rey's? What is it signal? What is so different about Rey's background to the Skywalkers? You know, are we ever going to find out? Who knows? We might not, but we might. We'll see. We'll see what comes up in episode 9. So to close on that, as I say, I definitely enjoyed it. I'm going to see it again tomorrow. It'll be the second time I'm going to see it, just so I can look over a few more things, and then I'll do my own personal review on the movie as well, where I'm going to discuss a few things further and obviously mention a few stuff that I've mentioned tonight. But
can I ask you a question before you leave?
Okay, sure.
Do you think that Disney left
All right, Keaton.
the people question, because he has to go, right?
Yeah. Ask it.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask, do you think that they left a ton of question marks in this movie on purpose, or do you think they just made an incomplete movie?
I think it's a bit of both, actually. I mean, this is why I'm saying, what is Rey's real purpose? You know, her background is just so obscure. Whereas in the Force Awakens, we're thinking, oh, her parents must have been. I mean, my first thought was, I thought Luke Skywalker was her father. If I'm going to be totally honest, when I watched The Force Awakens, that was my first thought. So I'm thinking, okay, her parents must be of people of significant importance. You know, she's saying that she's waiting for her family. She's waiting for them to return to Jakku. She felt like her parents returning would give her that purpose as to find out who she really is and who she's meant to be. So then The Last Jedi comes out and you're thinking, okay, we're going to find out more about her parents. We're going to find out more about where she's meant to be going, who she's meant to be, the conversation that she had with Kylo. And as you say, Anthony, Keaton, sorry, did I feel that it was incomplete? Yes, because I still think that there's a lot more to tell about Rey.
Yeah.
I still think there is a lot more to tell, but I just felt like they just jumped a number of hoops to say, okay, this is Rey, this is who she is, this is where she's from, here's where she's going, but we're not really going to tell you anything more. You know, we're going to let you figure that out for yourself. And it's kind of like, well, as someone touched on earlier, it's like Lost. You're giving us all these questions, but there's no definitive answers.
There's no definitive. Okay, gotcha.
Nothing definitive. So that's where as I say, hopefully episode 9 might be able to answer some of those questions. If it doesn't, well, it's been a great ride, Disney, with this current saga. Let's see what you do for the next 3 episodes after that.
Right.
Just, you know, who knows? But I'm going to leave it there anyway, guys. But thank you all very much for having me.
It was
has
nice
been
to
a
meet
pleasure.
you, man.
It was nice to meet everybody as well. And
Absolutely.
good luck with the rest of the discussion. And I'm sure I'll see you all on the flip side.
Fare thee well.
Absolutely. Hey, take care, man. Be safe.
Yeah, will do. You too. See you later.
Everybody,
Take care.
Definitely go down to the description bar below. Check out CK61938. He's got an awesome YouTube channel. I followed him for years, and he's been doing this for a minute, man. So thanks for coming in, bro.
Yeah, well, good night.
To his comment, we need to leave off of this. We need to talk about what we liked about the movie, some of the epic moments about the movie. But I will say, I agree with Amon to an extent. The problem that I had with Finn and Rey, that there was so much inferred about their characters from The Force Awakens that was not concretely established in this movie. When Maz Kanata talked to both Finn and Rey, when she talked to Rey, she was like, you know, this was Luke Skywalker's father's, and then now it was his, and then now it calls to you. Like, why even add that double down concept? Why even show the vision of her seeing the Knights of Ren, or seeing Luke Skywalker coming out, or, you know, seeing her parents fleeting, and then eventually seeing the future? Like, why even show any of that if you're not going to infer anything? Even the charm bracelet. Even the charm bracelet that Luke finds on the Millennium Falcon and then gives to Leia later on, which doesn't make sense because it was a hologram too. You know, it was just so much that was implied. Even when it comes to Finn being the first one to actually wield the lightsaber to defend Rey, you know, it was like that part of their relationship, and that cemented them to me as not, even if they're not going to be, you know, more than just friends. That was one of the things that I loved about The Force Awakens that didn't get brought into this one. That was one of the things that I was like, as far as her lineage, there was so much they implied and inferred that it did not go into. They kind of gave me blank answers. And I think that Pat said in the chat, like, this is something that, you know, Johnson was able to overwrite from what Abrams was trying to establish. And so we might get more answers in the 9, but I don't know really going to go with it. But I don't know. I just wanted to chime in because everybody else was talking about it. But what was your favorite moments, though? Oh, go ahead, D. You got something?
No, the only thing I was going to piggyback on that was that maybe, and it's just maybe that line, that it was a line that Yoda said that kind of stuck with me. He said that everything that was, you know, in the books that burned up, it was already in Rey. Maybe, much like Anakin, she's destined to be a Jedi because Anakin was prophesied. So that's the only thing I'm gonna give Rey until they flesh out the whole storyline itself with her, because obviously they're holding you know, back more and all that. And as much as I get everybody's hang up about the whole Skywalker family, and I'm on that too, that doesn't make any sense. But she might be just like Anakin in a way, which was prophesied.
No, I'm tired.
They said the same thing about
the prequels robbed me of
see, but that's what I'm saying.
The prequels
see, that's what I'm saying though. But that's the problem
anymore.
But that's the problem though, and that's the exact problem though. All that is doing is the problem that these current movies have, repeating the same themes that we've seen in the prequels and in the original trilogy. You're just repeating the same thing over and over and over again. That's fine to an extent, but you don't go out of your way to establish Rey as this type of character and then say X, Y, Z about her. You know what I mean? All it is repeating the same old themes that we've seen before in this story. And that was that was, at least my opinion, one of the big problems about Force Awakens. That I seen this shit before. You know what I mean? I've seen this before. And even with Rey, even though they're doing it kind of differently, like, you make it seem that she's prophesied for it, that she's going to be the next big Jedi down the line anyway, which is fine, but they're going about it in such a weird way. Anyway, like Sam said, everybody talk about what y'all like.
Yeah, what was your most epic moment about the movie? There's so many. That's one of the things that's so weird about this movie. It's so divisive. So many people have problems with it, but it has some of the most epic, beautiful moments that Star Wars has ever given us. Some of them don't make sense. Some of them are just monumentally just look extravagantly awesome. But what is your favorite moments of the movie? And just kind of describe why it was for you.
All right.
Yoda. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go. Well, pretty much you and me, Anthony, we agree. Yoda's moment really, just from his appearance, I was like, wait, hold up. Is that who I think it is? And like, yes, it's Yoda. And just, Because here's the thing, I never thought we would ever see Yoda again, but I feel like
wow, really? What movie are you watching? You didn't think he was coming back? We got young Anakin come back as a ghost. What made you think that?
I didn't think he was coming back. To be honest, I didn't think Yoda was coming back either. I thought he was done. I thought he was done. I didn't think they were going to use anything from the original 3.
Thank you. So just seeing just seeing Yoda have his conversation with Luke, I'm like, in my mind, I'm picturing this. I was like, young Skywalker, there's still much more I have to teach you. I was like, wow, just like, wow. And when he said failure is also a teacher, I was like, that stuck with me right there to the most, because that even kind of related to me, to real life problems as well. So for sure, I felt like that was epic for me. And as well for other epic moments, I would say Luke's, final, I wouldn't call it a final battle because he didn't really do much. He was just, a distraction, but just seeing Luke doing his, his final moments with Kylo Ren and everything, and just seeing come out straight out as like, in his all black and everything, and just like being an actual astral projection, I was like, Yoda really taught him one more trick just to go out with a bang. So those 2 moments for me really stuck out for me the most.
Nah, I appreciate it, Johnson. Who wants to go next?
Me real quick. It's very quick. The part I like, and just real quick, it's not even a big thing because I kind of got to go. But the part I like was when the fight with Kylo and Ray, where they were fighting all the guys in red. I forgot their names. I suck when it comes to when it comes to those knights and all that. But I thought that scene was good, even though I did say the whole time, Ray, who taught you how to fight like that? But whatever. I thought it was awesome. But the only epic moment I know none of y'all going to talk about is the fact that my boy Kylo got gains, man. When he was shirtless, that was the best part of the movie to me. That was the best part of the movie. And the fact,
you feeling charged? Like...
son. And the fact that he was standing there shirtless, and look, Ray's like, you won't win. Here's Kylo. So you ain't gonna respect my gains, though. Everybody call me a bitch in the last movie. You ain't gonna respect the push-ups I did.
Kathleen Kennedy won't sexualize Ray, but she sexualized Kylo real quick.
Boy, didn't they? Did they? But yeah, that's
I'm waiting for y'all to drop a line about Jumanji coming out next week. Like, I'm waiting for it.
Son, that's the only thing they didn't do, man. That's the only thing. But yeah, but like I said, that's the only part I really like was the fight scene. I really dug that scene. I thought it was done very well, even though, like I said, the whole entire time, Ray, who taught you how to fight like this? Whatever, no big deal.
But D, I'm gonna hold you to this, man. I'm surprised you brought that up, and Iman wasn't here to say something about that. I'm surprised you brought that moment up.
I was going to I was earlier, but that's no big deal. I don't care.
Oh man, this is crazy.
All right, who wants to go next?
I'll go next. So when it comes to like movies like this, what sticks out to me is normally the character that sets the tone for the movie. And I felt that when Luke took that lightsaber and just tossed it over his shoulder, it really set the tone for the movie. Like it really said, hey, guess what? I'm not who you thought I was. I'm not who you thought I was going to be. And he stuck with it the entire movie. Like when he trolled Ray, when he was holding the weed on her hand, like, hey, look, it's the Force, like, and messing with her and everything. Like that really set the tone for the whole movie. Like, hey, this person that was like really engaged in the Jedi lore and everything we knew about Star Wars has completely gone cynical. And I feel like that is really what set up everything in the movie. That was really what stuck out to me, because like making sure that everyone knew, hey, he's gone completely cold from what we knew about him in in Return of the Jedi. Like making sure we knew that was like a big part and a really big core moment for the movie.
No, I completely agree with that one. Shakeem, you want to go next?
Sure. So I think my favorite thing about the movie, and this has nothing to do with plotline or anything, it was just seeing all of the diversity in the movie. Between, like you had women fighter pilots, and then there were some black dudes in there, and then there were some black women in there, and then Asian women in there, and that you don't really see that. Like I was watching one of the other movies before me and my date went to the movie, and I was like, man, like there's not that much diversity. Like the way that they did diversity was with aliens. So you had like an Asian type alien, and then I know we said we weren't going to say the name, so I'm not going to say the name, but I was like debating, like, so is he supposed to be black or Native American? Like what is his tribe of aliens supposed to be? So just to actually see like real people and then to like represent all races, well, not all, but different races and ethnicities, like that was pretty dope to me. And then I was also really digging kind of the beginning of the movie where Poe was messing with Hux. Like, can I speak to Hux? Okay, I'll hold. Is he here yet? And he's like, I can hear you. I'm here. I can hear you. And he's like, is he there? Like, can you hear me? Because I can hear you. So there's like this whole dickish back and forth thing happening. Like I enjoyed the humor in that. And then Laura Dern's character, whose name I can't remember right now, her like taking one for the team and warp speeding into the ship. Like that was a moment. And yeah, I think those were my favorite moments of it. But definitely the best thing I saw was just that they represented so many different people.
We all forgave that Star Trek reference in the Star Wars movies, but yeah, I agree with that.
You know what? Quick. I got words for you later. How about that?
I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it.
Shakeem, quick question. Just a quick question to the diversity comment. In The Force Awakens, was there as many, was there as much diversity with the enemy spaceship, like the actual people in there? Was it the same amount of diversity, or was there more in this one than there was in that?
I feel like there was more in this one than there was in that one. Like,
I definitely feel like that. Like, I feel like I was watching this movie and I'm like, oh, there's a lot more people of color in this one. They just hired them last week?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Do you think it was because they saw like the ratings from Rogue One and they were like, hey, we should throw more color at them? Do you think that's what happened?
Yeah, and like I definitely love all the diversity stuff, but like for like a split second I was like, where do they get all these people? Like, did they just start like
original trilogy had 2 black guys and a black voice. So like I was just happy that we could go further with that. So whatever the reason is, I think they were scared of the Chinese markets again. They were like, nope, just throw them in there. Rogue One did well. They'll see it anyway.
Exactly.
I'm just happy that we do make it to the future.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it's like it's on one hand, it's like I still like I'm happy that there's minorities, but at the end, like the big bad that Finn fought was still Brienne of Tarth. Like, I just
no, it wasn't. I refuse to admit that's her because it is.
Oh my god, we didn't talk about that too. Anyway, let's talk about the good.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that.
Wait, can I go?
I'm sorry. I apologize.
I love the Yoda moment. I think one of the wisest. I love when it talks about teaching the next generation. And Naruto was a thing. It was a thing about when they were like, we're no longer receiving teaching, now we're passing it on. And when Yoda sat down with them, he was like, we're what they have to surpass. That's the burden of being a teacher. I love that. Like, I thought that was so powerful to me. Especially also failure. I think people, when you talk to people a lot, even you counsel people think that I use a lot when I'm counseling people and they talk about their failures in life, and I use the anybody ever done a thinking maze where you stand in the middle of a maze? You could walk out of it, but you go around and you try to figure it out, and it's like, oh, you hit a dead end. Do you just stop? Oh, because you failed to get out? No, that's not the right way, so you go to another path. And it's just failing, just learning how to succeed. And I think that's such a powerful message. And I love how they always get that right with Yoda. Whatever you care about the prequels, when Yoda speaks, I just love that that's what they gave me in this one. So that was great to me. I did like when they hyperspaced into the other ships. I think she waited kind of long. She was already on a suicide mission. How many ships are you gonna wait to get blown up? My problem with that is that
it caught Elsa a whole movie.
Right. She sat there and watched it for a minute.
I didn't like
my problem with that was it should have been Akbar. Like that should have been an Akbar moment because we know who that is. We know who, we were already kind of connected to that character instead of just blowing him out of space for no reason.
That was bad.
To me, that could have been an Admiral Akbar moment. And
I
got what?
Yeah, look who here.
Oh, and then I also
continue, Anthony.
Whatever you think about it. There were some moments with Luke that really just touched me. When he walked out and you saw the rebel fighters,
the doll where he touched you, Aunt.
and like he walks through the fire. I thought they were gonna do a thing where they're gonna broadcast it to the rest of the universe, and then like they were gonna start getting hits from other allies because they're seeing this Luke Skywalker legend do this. But just seeing him face down a whole army by himself or battalion or whatever it is, like it gave me chills. I kind of wanted him to raise that X-wing like it was nothing from the water, but he didn't do that. Because I was like, I thought he was going to do it, and you was going to be back around like, yeah, about time.
But I'm not the only one.
Yeah, but they wait. So there's a lot of things that I promise with it is, and again, it's not my movie. I'm not making it, but I thought there was a lot of wasted moments that could have been even more poignant. But the moments that even I tried to not be a fanboy, they got me. They got me, man. When he was like, "See you around, kid," and seeing the two suns setting, even if I don't agree with the whole movie, like I felt it. The last thing that I really liked, and I think there's some things I didn't like about the storyline, but I liked how it was. We're so used to the hotshot captain disobeying orders, and it always works out doing the Captain Kirk thing, and you know more than the people in the admiral's chair, and the fact that Poe was wrong and got a lot of people killed, like I liked that it was there was a broader plan, and all Finn had to do was follow orders. Because in real life, if you're a soldier, you don't see the whole you don't see the whole plan. You just see your perspective. And in movies, though, we go, "Oh, he should be court-martialed, but because he was right, it all turned out." No, Poe was wrong. Poe was really wrong twice. He should be shot, but seeing that there was these wiser admirals that want to bring him up, like he's there. We were all there. We were all that person on the ground. We just need to see him to see the bigger picture. I don't know what I felt about it. It was just really interesting to see in a movie because we don't see that in cinema. That was something unique, really, in my mind. I can't think of another movie that's done something like that. I think that my issue, and it's going to sound wrong at first, but this is, I am all for women empowerment. I'm all for women being characters because they were so ignored for so long in a lot of our popular mythos. I think that Star Wars has swayed to Rebels being the most powerful characters are women. And I'm not saying about powerful like in phrase powerful, but like just powerful characteristics. I think that in these new rounds of movies, it's almost like Rey, the admiral with the blue hair, like it's just like, why you don't have to make dad dumb to make mom important and intelligent. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to do that all the time. And I need to see some of these characters with flaws so I can so that they're more 3D to me. Like Luke had flaws. I mean, we call him a Gary Sue, but Luke had a lot of flaws with him. I still don't see flaws with Rey, except that she was just made to be perfect because Kylo was great. And I want to see more character flaws in her. I want to see her be more of a 3D person because I don't dislike her. I want to love her the same way I love Luke.
Okay, Michael.
Yeah, so for me, I did find some pretty positive moments throughout the film, more or less towards the back half. I thought the fight between, Rey and Kylo with other, guards of Snoke was pretty dope. I thought that was a pretty, awesome and pretty well put together action sequence. Shout out to the homegirl who warp speeded through the ship. I belted out a what the fuck. I said, this girl is an absolute madman. Like, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
I lost my mind at that scene. I thought that was absolutely awesome, despite the fact that I think she should have done it like maybe like 10 minutes beforehand. It's like you had like maybe if she had came to that decision and then done like right before she did it, the ships left, they would have been fine. Like many more would have survived. But I like that. I like the scene with Luke. He was kind of like stepping up to Kylo and everyone else. I thought that was pretty dope. And honestly, off the top of my head, that's all the moments that really stood out to me.
I definitely. We're good. So I agree with a lot of what everybody else said, but I think my favorite part of the movie was the opening was like perfect. So I loved how it showed the war, and I loved how it just showed the cost of war, and it. Even the humor was on. Like the opening was everything I wanted in Star Wars, and it got me so excited for the rest of the movie.
I like the opening quite a bit too, but the thing that kind of like I honestly like diminished it like a little bit for me was okay. It started off really good with it, like that whole 10-minute intro of there's a spaceship, there's a war going on, and then they go back right to the same exact thing, and that's the plot going on for the next 2 hours.
The chase.
They just didn't have any gas.
Do we feel it's a war though? Do we really feel like this is a war? I don't feel like this is a war.
I feel like maybe not a war, but like some guerrilla fight going on where people are dying. But the cruiser, or sorry, the battleships or whatever chasing the cruiser, I have a lot of issues with, because we see all the time in Star Wars where people are like jumping in and surrounding other ships and stuff like that. So it didn't make a lot of. I realize why it served a plot purpose, but I don't know. It just felt off for me.
It doesn't feel like a war. Like it really doesn't. It feels like the First Order just handing out capital L's to the rebellion.
Well, I think they're trying to show the beginning of a new rebellion, and so I think this is like really early on.
I give you that.
Yeah.
My guess is
that
further down, like 8 years later or something like that.
I give you that.
I think the consequence of war is there. I think that, like, you're getting to see the consequences of good guys trying to make last-ditch efforts to get people killed, like decisions that really get people killed. And then when you think about The Force Awakens, like, the First Order took a huge L. They lost the whole planet. You know what I'm saying? So it's like in this one, this is where the good guys really, lost out. So I think that kind of like what they piggyback off of what they did for Rogue One, of making you feel like, man, like, there's real consequences to actions. I kind of felt that in this one, but I think that the dogfights and the actual moments were really dope. That Kylo moment, though, I was really curious about did that catch anybody off guard? Did y'all really think that he was going to be able to kill his mom? Because I didn't know personally, but I was curious, did anybody think that he would actually commit to it?
I like that. I was worried. I felt tension. I didn't know he was going to press the button or not. Because, killing your dad as a guy is one thing. Killing your mom is like, oh, really? You know what I mean? Like, I assume I don't have parents. But but I thought that was really great. And to see his two support squadrons blow her out of space, I thought that was a really great moment because you didn't know what was going to happen. And I will give that to the movie. There's a lot of things that you just did not expect to happen.
I'm sorry, this might be off subject. I just realized that, like, I didn't talk about, like, that dumb as hell moment when, like, Princess Leia floated through space, because I was really expecting them to kill her off. And then
same.
Did you really? The whole time.
Did I? I swear I didn't.
Your biggest moment, and you really said nothing about that.
I said nothing. I was trying to stay on subject. I didn't want to make it about me, and I'm kind of drunk right now, so I've been led like this whole time. I've been good, but like really, like
nobody talked about.
Like I really I thought I was being good, but like the whole thing with them, like that moment in the movie really like sucked like 30% out of me.
Really? Why?
Like the whole, like, oh wow, she got blown into space, and suddenly Princess Leia is like, oh, I'm in the vacuum of space and covered with ice and already dead. But suddenly I'm gonna be sucked back to a window and be like, "Oh, by the way, I'm still alive," and then come through the window, and then, "Oh, wait, let me finish. Let me finish. May I finish? I appreciate it." But like, yeah, and then suddenly come through the window and then go unconscious until Poe Dameron needs his moment where it's like, "Oh, by the way, I'm not quite a grown up yet. Give me my moment." Like that was dumb. Like Homegirl got sucked into the vacuum of space.
I think people have a misconception about space, and I think people don't understand that you as a human right now could survive 5 minutes in space.
Okay, before you finish that thought, may I have some other questions? Before you finish that thought, because I feel like you're about to answer that one, I want you to answer this one too. At the beginning of the movie, when the ship opens and the girl is like knocking on the thing to try and get like the remote, is she not already in the vacuum of space? Because the bottom of the ship is already open. And also, why do bombs float in space? Why do they fall straight down? Because I get that you're saying misconceptions. That's all. I just wanted to ask the questions, and now I'm gonna let you go.
I have a theory about that, but again, I don't like plugging in holes. Like prequels ruined me from plugging in holes for Star Wars movies.
That's fair.
But usually in Star Wars movies, they show there's a force field in open space that ships or whatever go through, and you see a little distortion, just like how Vader at the end of Rogue One was staring out the ship that launched out. There's a force field there. So you have to assume there's a force field there, and special effects just didn't put in a little the little shimmer of them going through it, because that's how it usually works in Star Wars. If you drop something in something that has gravity that drops down, it's going to continue to go down even if it goes out of that gravity field. And you have to also assume that the ship has its own gravity as well. But so it should keep going down, not the way they showed it, but it should work that way. I mean, it would hit the ship, just not the visual way they showed it. If we want to see more realistic gravity effects, just watch The Expanse. You're not going to see that in a Star Wars film. But as far as Leia surviving in space, you as a human could get sucked in the vacuum of space and survive 5 to 8 minutes. You might not be completely healthy after you come back, but you would live. Or you have a chance of living, depending on where it happened at. There's no reason why she couldn't force grip a door and go towards a door. I personally would have liked them if they just used force shields. I don't know why movies won't use force shields when they've been in the legends for a long time. And I think people would have better accepted her putting up a force shield versus her flying through space. But there's no difference between grabbing a door and pulling yourself towards it telekinetically, then, especially when there's other forces, there are not a lot of gravity pressing on you to pull you to the door, than like you were flying through air in a planet.
So
that's how I thought about it.
So you were completely fine with all of that?
It looked weird how they did it, and I think that I had a discussion with someone else about this, about how we accept certain facts of science that aren't really facts. And so in our minds, because cinema has taught us for generations that you go into space, you're just dead.
Maybe you're right. It did look weird. It looked DuckTales as hell. Like it did. Like it looked really weird. It did not look like something that fit.
Right.
Star Wars. Like if Porkins' fat ass couldn't survive in space, neither can Leia. Like, I'm sorry. Like that's just.
Like I said, American audiences, as far as not American audiences, period, we don't accept that you can survive in space. To us, space might as well be lava. The minute you're out there without protection, you're dead. Yeah. That's how we view space.
I'll give you that.
Not necessarily true.
I'll give you that.
Well, I guess let's stay on target, because this was supposed to be about us talking about our favorite moments and most positive moments. I have my own issues about Leia thing. We didn't talk about it because I knew it would be drawn out. So I was like, we'll talk about this later in the part 2. That's the reason why I left that for a part 2 section. I feel like they should have committed with the Leia part, but they didn't, and I understand why they didn't, but it's fine. I just want to give everybody the opportunity to talk about their favorite moments. Who's next? Iman, I think you and Anthony might be next, unless Keaton and Mo had one. I can't remember.
I think I already went. I think about like my favorite moments. It was when Luke threw the lightsaber over and like certified himself as like a cynical douche.
Okay, so Iman, do you want to go your favorite moment?
Yeah, 3 favorite moments. First one would be the fight with the Red Guards at the end. That was probably the coolest thing. I was not expecting that at all. Also, just how strong Kylo Ren is really cool. Where he had, what? No, not that. I was gonna.
So, Iman,
You know what she's talking about, right?
I wasn't gonna go there, but
Saw that glistening chest.
you missed
Saw
the
that glistening
inside
chest.
joke. Before he left, he was saying that his favorite moment was that nobody would acknowledge Kylo Ren's gains from the first movie. And everybody was like, "Oh, Iman's not here to talk about that." So.
And I said, I'm surprised Amon's not here to even mention that. But
let me say something. That I was with my boyfriend. I love him. But let me just say it was a breath of fresh air to see that body. I just want to say I did not expect to see that.
Damn, I need a compliment like that.
And Adam Driver did a great job on his body. They did wonderful. The whole team did a great job. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. I'm just I'm just saying. But it was because guys get all the eye candy and all of a sudden this happened and I was like, so
every Marvel movie gives you eye candy. Every Marvel movie gives you
okay, that is true. We're talking about Star Wars though. So
we got played Leia once.
Yeah, but everyone's all about Rey all the time, so anyways. But anyways, that was a great part for me. But that's the fight, the Red Guards fight, and then the ending where I guess Luke, I don't even know, he had like the Force got him to where they were. He wasn't actually physically there. It was almost like a hologram or something.
Force projection. Yes,
thank you very much. I thought that was crazy. So, and then, I love John Boyega and Oscar Isaac and Donald Gleason, who plays Hux, and so I was just happy to see all my guys. Anyways, okay, I'm done.
Oh man, that was too good.
Anthony, what are your favorite moments? Not drunk Anthony, regular Anthony. Sorry.
I'm about to say I already was.
To be fair, there's a chance I might be drunk Anthony right now because I've been going in right. So if you need like a substitute, just let me know. I'm gonna be quiet.
You're good, man. Thanks for having me on, by the way, Sam. I really appreciate it. So, my favorite part in this movie overall had to be the scene with R2-D2 and Luke on the Millennium Falcon. I thought that was a great moment. That was like the only scene in the entire movie where I felt like, oh my God, that's old school Luke, from, the original trilogy. Because the entire time in the movie, I felt like he wasn't really Luke. So for me, that and also the space battle in the end, I thought that was pretty awesome. But that's pretty much it for me. Everything else in this movie really kind of disappointed me, but everything else was fine.
Nah, that's fair enough. Is that everybody?
No, I haven't gone yet, but it's okay. I don't have to go.
Okay.
Right.
Wow.
Thank you.
Seems like it's salty, you guys. I'm sorry. Heard your podcast coming in here getting all fresh. Okay, well.
All right. Okay, thank you. Rebels, or if you've seen Rebels this season, you will know why this moment is one of my favorite moments. Laura Dern's speed through the Star Destroyer. That was top 6 moments, top 5 moments in any Star Wars for me. How epic it looked. She pulled a hair move, and that's what I would call it from now to whenever a hair move. Because that was
Mo!
So she pulled that hair move, and that's like my top moment. We also have the Red Guards. I mean, I guess everyone has said that. That's kind of like a tired moment, but it's because, again, of I think the scale of the moment, like seeing Snoke die and then seeing Kylo and Rey, light and dark kind of come together for maybe a minute. It looked really cool too. I mean, I didn't know they were going to go as far as, letting us see a saber through somebody's eye. I didn't know that was ever going to happen, but that happened, and I appreciated that moment. That's That's it for me. Those two moments were it for me. Again, maneuver and the red guards. That's Earth 2 Comic Cast take on this. I'm done.
Nah, that's good. I just want to make sure I give you your spotlight, bro.
No, I mean, you literally said, "Is everybody going?" And I'm just sitting here like, okay.
I was like, I'm gonna let Mo get as much time he needs. But no, I guess my favorite moment. I got several different favorite moments, man. I think that the fact that they used the puppet version of Yoda, not just the speech and everything, but they used the puppet and not a CGI version of Yoda.
Was it a mixture though?
No.
Wasn't it like a weird?
They used the puppet and then they used like a layer over him to give him this hue kind of effect, like he was a Force ghost.
Did they really hit Puppet Yoda with a Snapchat filter? For real? Is that what they did?
I think so.
Is that what it looked? Oh my god!
Yeah, I for one nerded out. The Star Wars nerd in me just
man.
I hate that scene so much, yo.
I love that scene, and I'll always love that scene. Just kind of like
wait, who hated it?
Anthony.
I
hate that scene so much. It ruined the lore of Star Wars. Power Force Ghost able to strike lightning. It doesn't make any sense.
I liked it. I'm not.
What is it? We've never.
Might as well let him fight Kylo Ren then.
It doesn't go against any lore.
I like Star Wars. It makes no sense.
It doesn't go against any lore.
I liked it. I did. I liked it. I just didn't like the. I didn't like the like puppet Snapchat filter that they hit Yoda with. I loved Yoda in the movie. Like, if anything belonged, my little man, like, he belonged. It's just that, like, they hit him with that, like, the Instagram roses. Like, I wasn't really a fan of that. But at the same time, like, I've only enjoyed Yoda like twice in 9 movies, or whatever. Like, he was good in like the original trilogy. In episode 1, he was horrendous. In episode 2, we never saw him standing still because they gave him like 3 Adderalls and he was spinning the entire time. In episode 3, he fought Palpatine. He was in a robe and it was sad. Like, and so that's the thing. Like, every Yoda is different.
He also fought Count Dooku in episode 2 as well.
He do, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, he was on Adderall the whole. He was spinning. Like, in episode 2, Yoda was spinning like rims, like the entire movie, like the entire time. He was like, "Yo, here's my lightsaber, and now I'm spinning. We own these 22s, baby." Like, that was the entire time.
I like to think Yoda was Yoda in the prequels, and he spent 20 years by himself in the swamp talking to ghosts, and his mind kind of slipped. So.
And that's the funny. Well, and that's the funny thing about the Star Wars movies, because they're like, "Oh yeah." Well, and that's the thing. For some reason, in episode 1, they felt the need to make Yoda look young, even though he's 900 years old. And so, a span of 20 years, for some reason, they were like, "Oh, we need to make him look younger," because when comparing 900 years to a span of 20 years, like, they could have just kept it the same.
I know what you mean. Like, if you live a millennium,
right,
a couple of decades don't really matter that much to you.
Exactly. It's like Fresh Prince Will Smith, Men in Black Part 1 Will Smith. Like, it's not that big. Like, it's a tight window. Like, it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
But it just doesn't make any sense.
Whoa. I didn't do that.
Sam, I have a question before you go on, and it was just a small observation.
I never even finished what I was saying. Go ahead.
Hang on, said, shut the fuck up, Anthony.
I do. It's helpful. So Yoda was there in ghost form, right? So what I couldn't understand, like, I'm watching and I'm like, getting all the nostalgic feels and stuff, but at the same time, I'm like, he's a ghost. Why the fuck is he making old man noises when he goes to sit down and stand up? Like, what?
Why in the Matrix do you have your hair? Like,
what? Don't do that.
In the old original trilogy, that was the same way he looked in his astral form. That's the form that he chose to look like. So I think that they just wanted to keep it canon to what he looked like before. Like, what reason would he have to kind of look like a young Yoda now?
Did you notice?
I think that's the reason why they committed to it that way.
Did you notice Luke was younger when he projected?
Yeah,
I had problems with that until I found out.
And you have the light that was broken in half. And I didn't even think about it till the second time. I was like, wait, this lightsaber, this was like split in two, which foreshadows probably Rey's gonna have dual lightsabers later. But I was like, that was another favorite moment that I have. I thought that him walking out there was just one of the most amazing nostalgic moments I could have ever really felt. You know, as a fan of Luke Skywalker, not just because like, you know, he's there in his presence there to help everybody, but just the fact of like, I can't believe that I'm seeing Luke Skywalker walking out on the battlefield again. I was taken back from that. Even like, you know, a lot of you guys,
they're gonna roll credits there.
Well, no. I mean, they could have, but like even the Kylo Ren fight with Rey, as awesome as that was, it was the surrounding theme that was going on around them. Like, you know, Laura Dern's character was just about to go and catapult herself into the ship. You know, they were like at odds. It was an amazing moment, period. Second time I watched it, I was able to appreciate it so much more because the tension built to that. The only problem that I had was like, there was a lot of moments that they took chances on, like taking and blowing Leia out. I thought that was a powerful moment because it was like, it wasn't the fact that Kylo did it, it was the fact that he didn't. And imagine if, you know, she never came back. He would always be conflicted with that because he didn't have the will to do it himself. And on top of that, like, he's left with sorrow because he has no more connection with anybody. And it would mean even more later if he found out that, you know, Rey was his twin sister. You know what I'm saying? So I felt like there was a lot of committed moments that they did. I felt like, wow, this is amazing. You know, it was just like their follow through with it. It was to try to throw everybody off. And I think, like, I don't know who said it was an intentional thing and it's not at the same time. Either way, it kind of left people really divisive, unfortunately, as far as the series. But I thought it was there's a lot of amazing different moments. But my final question to you guys, because we got to stop it at this point, because we're going to do a part 2 later. And I got a lot of other questions for that. Where do you guys think that episode 9 is going? Because personally, I couldn't tell you. I feel like I said this comment before. This must be how I looked at the Empire Strikes Back must have felt leaving, like the Han frozen in carbonite, whether Mako, whether he was alive, like, okay, Luke has lost his hand, that his dad is Darth Vader. Like, you have no understanding of what's happening next. But this is even more so because there's no villain that we know of. I don't think that Kylo Ren is going to be the main villain. So it's like all these questions, and nothing is engaging me to try to pull to 9 at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I said I enjoy this movie as a standalone movie, but not as a sequel. As a sequel, I think it doesn't do well as far as the whole of the saga, because it's this hole that's here and you don't know where we're going. But I'm just curious from your guys' perspective, moving forward, where do you go with this?
One comment that Abrams has made is that the next movie is going to tie in much more into the prequels, which is that's just an interesting tidbit to know about.
That's interesting.
I don't know what that means. That could mean all kinds of things, but supposedly it ties into the prequels in some way.
Do we really want it to tie into the prequels? I mean, we saw the Clone Wars. Like, do we want to go back there?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I do. I think
I don't mind. I really don't mind.
I think that the prequels problem was directing. I don't think it was actually the story. I think the story was very interesting. I think that it just wasn't presented well. And I hope we go back to some of that lore stuff. But I don't know. And I also think J.J. Abrams has I think he has more control on what he makes, and I think he has a better understanding of of lore fans, I think. To me.
Okay. Because you remember the one he did was a rehash of, you know what? Never, we're not doing that this podcast.
But let me ask you this: Did you feel like Force Awakens was more of a Star Wars movie than this?
Oh, Force Awakens was a much better.
He said we ain't doing this, but he opened it up. He opened the can right before he said it.
I think Force Awakens was better than this movie. I think it was a better Star Wars movie. I'm glad he's coming back. And I think that J.J. Abrams doesn't have a problem with Finn and Rey, so I'm also happy for that. So, yeah.
Because Rian Johnson definitely has a problem.
Kathleen
You know what?
Kennedy,
Again,
I think, has a problem with it. That's who I think has a problem with it.
That's the screen again. I was reading that.
You know what? I'm done. I'm done.
Deadline confirmed bots were used to.
What's the next topic, Sam?
Wow.
Everybody ain't going yet.
Okay, I'm gonna go next. Okay, so I mean, that was my biggest question at the end of after I walked out of the theater. Like, where do they go next from here? Like, what can they do? Because the only villain that you got right now is, Kylo Ren, or if you want to say an anti-hero, but I wouldn't even call him an anti-hero at that either. But like, where do Finn, Rey, and Poe go from here? Where does Kylo Ren go from here? Are we gonna, now that Luke is gone, is he gonna be that one thing of guidance for Rey, or Finn, or better yet, let him be that that guidance for Rey later on for Episode 9? And I'm thinking this might be a little far-fetched, or this is just my nostalgic mind. I feel like we might get some form or aspect of the dark side, say like Emperor Palpatine, somewhere in Episode 9, but that's just like, that's my nostalgia talking. But I feel like I want to see that show up in there with a little bit of a tidbits from Fallen Jedi, say like Mace Windu, for example. I know Samuel L. Jackson probably don't want to come back as a little cameo or anything.
No, he does. He said he does.
Oh,
and I think I think this is the first time, because this movie is the first time we've actually time jumped with flashbacks and stuff. Star Wars movies don't usually do that. So I feel like they've opened that door up in a way. I don't know the term for it, but the way they do storylines, Star Wars has typically been pretty linear. Like, they'll talk about stuff in the past, but you don't get a flashback. You don't get a transition in time. This movie is the first movie to actually do that. So you could actually do flashbacks now. They've broken that barrier.
But yeah, just a little something to bring, past Jedi's back, if you want. That's just my thing.
All right, anybody else? What do you think is going to happen moving forward?
I think Kylo Ren is going to be the leader of the First Order. I think that's where they're going, and I'll be really interested to see with that. I hope that we get some Knights of Ren action going, because I feel like they teased that with us in the first one. They talked about Jedi leaving with Kylo after him and the Luke and him thing. Because before, what we saw was the Jedi Temple burnt down, the Knights of Ren and Kylo slaughtering the Jedi. In this movie, they're saying that Ben woke up and it's like, oh, well, Luke tried to kill me, so I'm gonna kill all the other students, and then took some of them with them. So there's a contradiction between the two movie points. I want to see that cleared up. But besides that, I don't know, because the big three are gone. So what else can we do? So I like that I have no guesses what's going to go forward. I want some backstory on Snoke though, because that just pisses me off.
Yeah, nah, I definitely agree with you about Snoke and the Knights of Ren. That was one of the biggest things about the visions. You got a semblance of what the Knights of Ren were. And I wonder if that was one of the 30 minutes worth of deleted footage that was taken out of Rian Johnson's movie. I have no idea. But anybody else moving forward with Episode 9? Key?
I remember the first time I watched Empire Strikes Back. I had this feeling of, oh man, I can't wait. Like, I really could not wait to see what happens next. And I'm so glad that like the trilogy was coming on USA at the time, because coming up next, Return of the Jedi, and I could not wait to see how this ended. I have yet to get that feeling at all from this new trilogy. And it could be just because of the way movies are now. Like, the way movies are now, we look for the twist. We look for the difference. And so with Empire Strikes Back, the way that ended, it was like, oh man, how's this gonna end? After this movie, I was just like, all right, so we got things going on here. Kylo Ren is still listening to way too much My Chemical Romance. Rey is still on her like Taylor Swift BS, where she's just like, I'm gonna do me, but at the same time, I'm gonna be trash and like I don't know what's going on with her. Finn, Disney, I don't know what they were trying to do with Finn. I really don't. But like that in itself is the difference. At the end of Empire Strikes Back, I could not wait. At the end of this one, instead of the I can't wait to see where this goes, it's oh God, I don't want to know where this goes. Like they did not give me something to look forward to. And I'm not sure I'm not sure how much sense that makes, but like I'm just not really that excited for it, because the one thing we did get from the original trilogy, and we could even say from the original 6 movies, is that they had a linear storyline. With The Force Awakens, I feel like they gave us a storyline, and it gave us enough where we were like, okay, we see where we're going with this. And then in the second one, instead of throwing in a small twist, what they did was they were like, actually, instead of this being a chalkboard where even when if we erase stuff, there's going to be remnants left over, this is a dry erase board, and we're wiping off everything, and we're spraying it down 3 times and starting completely over, and you have the same characters and the same markers, but you don't know, before we were a chemistry class, but guess what? This is physics, bitch. Like, and it's like we don't know what they are planning on doing with it at all. Like before, we had an idea, we had a game plan. Even in the original movies, that like the original movies, the prequel movies, at least there was a game plan. There was a basis. We knew where it was heading. Like even like the original trilogy, well, obviously the prequel trilogy, we knew exactly where it was heading. We knew where, oh look, Darth Vader, like eventually he's gonna come about. But even in the original trilogy, it's like they gave us a story and something to look forward to. The only thing we have to look forward to in this next movie is question marks. Hopefully, all of these questions get answered. And back to what I was saying, maybe it's the way that times are now. We've had so many shows and so many movies that failed to answer questions. And so because of this specific movie, this leaves a bad taste in our mouth, because so many times questions didn't get answered. And so now we're sitting here like, oh, wow, another series, and it probably won't answer questions. And we're in our mid-20s and 30s now. Hopefully it gets answered before we have grandkids. We don't know, but we're already annoyed with it. Like that, at least that's how I feel.
No,
that's how I feel.
No, I think that's perfectly logical, because that's how I felt coming out of the movie. And I guess I'll present this to you guys, because I kind of ask a lot of you, because I don't know. I don't know where episode 9 is going to go. I don't have anything to latch onto. I just knew that this was a well-presented and ambitious film. But I'll say this. I'll give you like a theoretical. If, say, hypothetically speaking, they had ended up committing to killing Carrie Fisher, when that moment happened that she did not come back, you know what I'm saying, she died. Say, hypothetically speaking, when, you know, Rey and Kylo Ren, when they came into their really big fight, and Rey was the one that committed herself to the darkness, and, you know, Kylo Ren was the one that pulled himself away. And say, hypothetically speaking, Finn found out that Rey went to the darkness, and his desire now is like, I need to be able to reach her. I need to get her back. Like, and even if, you know, Luke would have been the one to sacrifice himself for Rey out of his own failure, you know, like, how would you guys have felt after that? Like, getting a little bit of answers, do you guys feel like the movie would have changed for you guys? Like, even just some of the theories that I just kind of gave to you guys, do you feel like the movie would have been more well-rounded, or you feel like, you know, it wouldn't have mattered? You would have still felt the same way? Not everybody answer what.
All right, I was trying to be polite, but so yes, I think that would have been a much more interesting film. I think that would have been a different twist because we're always used to the dark pulling at characters, and I think that would have been really cool to see them flip. Where and I feel like they hinted towards that a lot with Rey's training with Luke, and he was kind of like, "You didn't even hesitate to go to the darkness; you went right there." And even her mirror thing, I thought was a cool. I don't know if we call it mirror, but the different selves. I thought that was all leading to it. And it kind of went, no, we're going to be the standard story. Yeah, I think it would have been a big difference if they answered some questions. They could have given me more questions, but answered some of the ones we had coming from the other movie. It'd have been a different story from it. And this is coming from someone who I think the movie was good. I think it was a passable Star Wars movie, but it's not the best one.
I kind of say, yeah, agreeing with what you said, Sam. It would, if they made some, some certain changes, and it would have made the movie better. Like, because if you look back at the other 7 movies, Phantom Menace, the good guys win. Attack of the Clones, I could say, both sides won. And then Revenge of the Sith, the bad guys win, sort of. And then you got, A New Hope, the good guys win. Empire Strikes Back, the bad guys win. And then Return of the Jedi, the good guys win again. Force Awakens, the good guys win. And The Last Jedi, you feel like you don't really know who won this one. I mean, you could say the Rebels won, but did they really win, though? So it really, if they made certain changes to, to make this movie a little bit, deeper and delve a lot deeper to help the characters develop more from what they were from The Force Awakens, it would have made the movie a bit better. Yeah.
That's respect. I mean, that's just kind of how I felt. I felt like they definitely threw that punch, but I feel like they just pulled back just a little bit because they wanted to kind of keep it along the same track. And instead, it kind of misguided people a certain way. But either way, you guys, this has been actually really good. Do you guys feel any better talking about it after the fact? Because this has kind of been long overdue. Some of us have been wanting to just let all this out.
Yes.
I mean, I saw the movie yesterday morning, like at 11. So it kind of felt good to discuss the moments, because like I said, someone who's like easily impressed with things. But when I dive deeper into it and understand that's why people are are not happy with say like this plot point of the movie or this. So yeah, discussing this movie helped out a lot.
Nah. Fair. And I don't know that, guys. So I mean, I guess my final question to you guys is: do you guys feel like it's merited to say that this is a bad movie? Because people have been saying this is terrible, this is the worst Star Wars movie, this is trash. On my comment section of my review, they were like, this is trash. I was like,
yeah, because I was watching a spoiler review video. I'm looking at the comments. Every single comment was like, this movie was trash, this movie sucked and everything. I was like, whoa. And then in my mind, I'm like, did y'all see the movie? Or y'all just listen to what
They didn't.
One of the 3 storylines was bad. One of the 3 storylines was bad, but the other, it was great. It wasn't. I think people judge Star Wars by a different merit, and we will never get our Empire Strikes Back again. Like I don't think we're going to get that. I'm never going to get my first experience with Star Wars again. I can't. We're chasing the dragon. You got to accept what you're getting now, and accept the spirit it's giving in, and just accept that some things are just a good movie without giving you that same high you first got when you got introduced to this world.
Yeah, Iman or Keith, do y'all have any thoughts on people saying the movie's trash? Like why this is coming this way?
Iman, yeah, I'm gonna let Iman go first because I've been talking this whole time. I've been loud as hell. I really have.
What are my thoughts on people's opinions that it's trash?
Yeah, a lot of people have been saying it's just a really bad movie, and I'm wondering if people are just looking at what the media is saying or what other people are saying instead of watching the movie for themselves. I'm curious your perspective on why people are saying the movie is really bad.
I don't know. I feel like because I mean, I understand that people aren't going to have the same like opinions as I do or other people do, but it's, I have seen a lot of negative like comments, and I guess it confused me because I mean, my theater, people clapped at the end. People were very hyped in the movie theater, like even like laughter. There was, we were feeling what was going on in the movie. So I never felt like people were disappointed until I got out and like went online. But I just think it's maybe the whole, it's popular to hate on things, kind of like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just like people jump on that wagon, and I understand like there were flaws to the movie, but I guess the trash is real. It's like they spent a lot of hard work and time and money. How can you just say something's trash? Like they put their heart, like that's messed up. I feel like you know, that's just people who don't understand movies or you know, art in a way. So I don't know. I don't know why. I guess, yeah, maybe it's just that culture right now where people just want to be negative.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, Keaton, you had something?
Yeah, I completely agree with what Iman says. Like I've been on this kick lately where I felt like people don't really critique movies as much as they agree with what other people say. Like a lot of the people looking at movies these days, they have a hive mind. They look at what either Rotten Tomatoes said or like what Max Landis retweeted. Like a lot of people really have a lot to say this. Like I feel like if you looked at people, they would say and they would tap the all caps and say 100% this, and then give you a retweet rather than what they thought of it before they saw it. And because of that, you have a lot of people that are hating things and they don't even realize what they're hating. They haven't formed their own thoughts or opinions. Like, for example, a 14-year-old isn't gonna come at you and complain about issues with the original trilogy. That's someone else's thoughts. Because if he's a 14-year-old, that means, hey, he's coming from stuff that he got from his parents. He could have formed his own thoughts. Highly unlikely, but he could have. But that doesn't take away from the fact that, oh, he's out there on Twitter just like a million other people trashing a movie. And for what? Yeah, this movie was not perfect, but it doesn't deserve to be completely trashed. Now, that being said, I'm not a movie critic. I'll be real with you right now. I'm not a movie critic. I'm what I would consider a movie enthusiast. I go into a movie trying to find what I like in a movie. Like I don't go into a movie trying to figure out what I can pull from it to hate on. I do the exact opposite. I'm like, hey, I want to be on your side.
Isn't that the real reason why we go to the movies, just to have a good time? Not to just...
I thought it was.
You would think.
You would think.
Not today, though.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
You would think. Now, as far as people hating on the movie, yeah, I think majority of them, I'll be real with you, I don't think they know what they are talking about. Yeah, the spacewalk Armageddon shit, like, yeah, that was weird. That whole Leia thing, that was odd. The movie was not perfect, but for all these people to like suddenly show up and be like, oh, I despise it, I hate it, like right after all the stuff they've put up with for years in movies because Rotten Tomatoes told them they should, miss me with that. Like you didn't have a problem with all of these plot holes and all of this stuff and all of the other things, and suddenly now you want to be picky and weird and rude. Like, no, go, please have several seats. Please just sit down. Just sit down and enjoy it for what it is. Look, it's Star Wars. It's the Millennium Falcon. We got lightsabers. Oh, look, someone got stabbed in the head. Enjoy it for what it is. I'll say that. Like, enjoy it for what it is. Yeah, it might not make much sense, but at the same time, this is a movie about space ninjas with laser swords. Like, come on. Like, come on. Like, don't be a douche. I want that to be the last thing I say. Don't be a douche.
Oh man. Nah, that's good. I guess before we head out, like Shakeem, Mo, Anthony, did y'all have anything to interject about people calling the movie directly trash or hatred of it before you leave?
I do. I think trash is very harsh, and I think part of the issue is, well, I think it's one of those things where you're not going to please everybody no matter what you do. So, like, I hear like a lot of people who are like, you know, this is not like the originals, and this doesn't follow this. You're like, okay, but isn't it supposed to be a different movie? And then other people are like, you know, they're just repeating the same things that they do from the other movies. So it's a half dozen thing. To me, and this might sound silly, but to me, this really felt like Kylo and Rey's coming of age story. Like, it kind of had like a teen angst thing to it. And like when you see Luke die and you see Kylo kill Snoke, like, to me that says, okay, the next movie, these are going to be like the two main focuses in the movie. So then hopefully they move forward with showing you their purpose and maybe a couple of flashbacks to answer some questions. But like overall, like this just seemed like two teenagers trying to figure out where they fit in life. And like, you know, they're talking, well, you know, they're FaceTiming with each other and, you know, trying to figure out where they belong. Like, hey, you know, I know you're doing bad in school, but you weren't like this in middle school, so we can figure this out. And then he's like, no, parents are stupid, teachers are stupid, life is stupid. I'm gonna wear all black and stupid. But yeah, so hopefully going forward, it'll be a little bit better. But overall, kind of like what Keaton said, I'm more of a movie enthusiast than a movie critic. So I tend to disagree with a lot of the critics because I'm like, look, I came to see lightsabers, shit blow up, and a whole bunch of really cool stunts and fighting. That's what I got. So overall, I'm happy with it. If you're going in and you're looking for deeper stuff, it might not be that great to you. But I still say, like, you wouldn't call it trash, even if you're going in like, you know, I'm looking for deep subtext and plot and context and all of that stuff. So
like Kingsman 2. We enjoyed the hell out of that movie. People hate it.
I enjoyed
we're not bringing up Kingsman 2. We're not.
No, I did that.
Don't do that. You did that on purpose. You did that on purpose.
No, me and Keem enjoyed the hell out of Kingsman 2.
Okay,
We were cracking up, enjoying it, and then
say that.
And then we got out there. People were hating on the movie. It was like, no, I came to see good action, some spy stuff, and ultra violence. I got
Kingsman 2 is trash.
And
all right. So, but I was just agreeing with Keem's point that she went in to get certain things met, and she got them.
Didn't you already go?
I was just agreeing with Keem. You guys wanted to get this other thing.
Yeah,
I was co-signing.
No, you're co-signing Kingsman 2 in a Star Wars chat. I ain't signed up for this. I ain't signed up for any of this. I ain't signed up for any of this. Don't do that.
Pairing. So basically, what you're going in expecting is what you're going to get out of it. So I have a tendency to be able to suspend disbelief when I go into seeing movies. So a lot of times when people are like, oh my God, that's so stupid. How could that happen? It's a movie. Like, it's not real life. I'm not going in to experience real life stuff because I experience so much of real life every day. I just want to go in and be able to escape for something that just gives me a little bit of joy and happiness for an hour and a half.
Meat grinder with no buttons in it. Yeah, cool. Go.
Yeah, human hamburgers. Cool. But, so that's what I got.
But I think that a second part to that, though, is the fact that a lot of people came in with their own fan theories and their thoughts. And I mean, I think that Patrick said it really well, that some people, they didn't get what they wanted. And so it was easier for them to disregard the movie as trash because they didn't get what they wanted, which I didn't believe that initially. And then I saw some tweets. I was like, oh, you just mad because this wasn't what the answer you wanted, you know. And I don't think
I
that's
believe it. I completely believe it because nerds are pretentious now, and it's impossible to give them what they want.
I already went, but I have a theory that associates this with what you're saying, Sam. Is that for 20 years we didn't have any Star Wars, so all the fans, we had books, we built up this whole Legend of Jedi in our own mind. We had all these things built up. Nothing we got was going to compare to the 2 decades of imagination that fans built up in their own mind of what a Jedi should be and how the Force should act and how you're supposed to use a lightsaber and things like that. Nothing we saw on screen is ever going to compare to that. So, and there was a difference when we saw young people grow up and be like, you like the prequels? That's not Star Wars. It's not our Star Wars because we had nothing else feeding us. But same thing when the scariest monster should be the monster you bring up in your own mind. And then we see CGI effects, we're like, that's not scary because that's not what your mind imagined. And I think that's something that Star Wars franchise, because they starved us for so long, has to really contend with when it comes to these new movies. I don't think I explained that really well, but yeah.
No. I completely agree with you. We're gonna have to switch gears for a second because I want to end out for Mo and Anthony. Even though Mo and Anthony, I don't think like the movie. But
hell no.
Mo, what did you? Oh, Mo, what did you think about the people that talk about the movie as trash? What is your thoughts on it?
Okay, first of all, I think trash is a harsh word. You can say a movie's bad without saying it's trash. This movie is a long ways away from trash. There are certain plot points that don't make sense. It has a lot of great moments, but what I would say is a lot of great moments doesn't make up a good movie. You have great moments, bad moments, great moments. You can't just call it a movie like that. But trash is a harsh word, and I don't agree with people calling it trash. If that's the question you were asking, then yes, I don't agree with people calling it trash. How I feel about the movie is a different case because remember I came into this movie fresh. I saw one trailer and I blacked myself out from seeing any other trailers, anything else. I had expectations for this movie, wasn't met. Questions that I had coming in didn't get answered. I take Star Wars seriously, and I just feel like I'm probably one of those nerds Keaton is talking about, but I'm not trying to be pretentious on this. I just feel like this didn't do what I was expecting in terms of Star Wars. It just felt very weightless. It's, you know what? That's probably, I'm gonna save that for some other time. But yeah,
wait. Let me ask. Do you mean when you say that? Do you mean that it didn't have the heart that Star Wars normally has?
It just felt very it felt bland. It's like, oh, okay, well,
yeah,
like a filler episode.
Yeah,
it did feel like a filler. Again,
I can agree with that.
This is what we watch on YouTube in between movies.
I don't see where you can call this a standalone movie because it felt like one of those. It didn't connect anything with anything. It just was okay. You know what? You can call it a standalone because it didn't connect anything with anything.
Yeah, exactly.
I really wanted to know who Snoke. A lot of you don't care who Snoke was.
No, I think that Mo, there's a lot of us that really cared. It was like I think that, like I said, when I came out of the movie, I didn't know how to feel. I just knew that I couldn't concur. I couldn't really make a really good review after looking at the movie. Like I really couldn't. I needed days to really think about how did I really feel about the movie. Even the second time, I felt a different way. Which is it's shit in movies. Some movies that's good from an entertainment value to do that. It's a harder thing to sit there and critique something that makes you have to process what did you really feel about it? Take the fanboy side out, take the expectations out. What did the movie really do? And I think that honestly, like you said, I think in the chat earlier, if you never did the blackout and you just kind of looked at all the trailers like normal, and your expectations were tempered a certain kind of way, and you kind of knew what you were going to get, I think you probably would have had a better experience. Would you agree?
Maybe. You might be right, but I mean, just walking into this fresh eyes, not seeing any trailers, again, the reason I decided to do a blackout was episode 7 in the trailer showed me Finn with a lightsaber, and I was like, yes, black boy lightsaber, let's get it, let's go. And then you get the moment with him with a lightsaber, and I'm like, what is this? This is trash. And then, it was just his fight with Captain Phasma was just really. You know what? I don't want to critique the movie. I'm pretty sure you guys have already done that.
Wait, hold on. You're getting into an interesting that the way.
Oh man, I didn't want to do that.
No. It's fun because we've already talked about this. Me and Keaton and D, and Anthony, we all talked about the way that they treated Finn had an effect on the way that we perceive the movie. Because one of the biggest things about The Force Awakens, they implied that Finn was a character, and he
you saw that
not being
trailer.
a primary character in the way that he was positioned moving forward. Like there's nothing for his character moving forward. And for the
affirmative action Finn.
From the normal, there are minorities and they're different people, you know what I'm saying? And so they root for a character and they didn't get what they, and that temple, the way that their thought process is about the movie. Like
I don't care too much for the prequels, but fucking Mace Windu had me licked every fucking time.
Yes.
Yo, he was Jules Winfield. He was Jules Winfield with the bald head.
What are you talking about? Like, I don't
the
care
micro
for the
series.
For real,
The micro series.
He was Jules Winfield with a bald head. Like he was everything that I wanted.
Everything. I'm serious.
Everything.
And he had a different color saber. Like he was the only person to have a different color saber. Like everyone either had green, red, blue. He had a purple saber, which is like, what is that? Blue and red. What colors do you mix to get purple? He was that. Like, you know what?
Yeah.
And in the animated series,
he was force punching droids.
Was legit.
Micro series,
so
yes.
He was force punching droids. He was that dude.
When I saw Finn in episode 7, I'm getting Mace Windu again. I didn't get that, so I was like, all right, fine. So I'm closing.
You got a yes man. I'm sorry.
I'm not seeing any trailers because I didn't.
You got a yes man.
I didn't want to see a moment in the trailer. Yes, I didn't want to see a moment in the trailer and say, "Oh my God, I'm going to expect this from the movie." So I decided to do that there. But yeah, I was just done. I was done after that. But it was a good movie in terms of, I think for fans who were just looking for a Star Wars movie, I think that if that's all you were looking for, in terms of, for me, in terms of the weight and the connection and answers, it dropped the ball there. So a far cry from trash. You can't call this movie trash. You just can't. And that's where I'm going to end. So I think Anthony should talk about, whether or not he agrees with the movie being trash. I think Anthony's going to call it trash anyway.
Mo, I legit, I feel you, dude. Like I was right there with you, man. Like,
you really?
I mean, I had expectations too, and it didn't. I don't know, but the movie is not trash. The movie is not trash to me. But Anthony, we'll close out on you, which is just try to temper it how you want.
How long have we been going, Sam?
You know what? We started this at what time?
5.
Man, we've been going. It's about to be 3 hours. This is like the longest.
5 beers ago.
I was about to say, I've been drinking whiskey and I've had to pee so bad for like 3 hours, and I'm just sitting here dying right now. I'm gonna be real.
Anthony, about people calling the movie trash, do you think that's merit?
So this movie's not trash. Transformers: The Last Night is a trash movie. That movie is trash. So yeah. I love you, Keaton. But however, this movie is one of the most ambitious.
I wasn't ready.
Oh my God.
It had a dragon.
It had a dragon. Oh my God, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm cutting your moment. I'm sorry.
You're good, man.
I forgot. For a second, I forgot.
This movie is really ambitious. I'll just say that. This movie is really ambitious. And this is the first Star Wars movie where there's so much good, but there's so much bad too. Like there's so many plot holes in this movie, and there's so many things that I personally feel that they disrespected the original trilogy and the prequels, even though I don't even care for the prequels. There's things that they do in this movie that are so different, and I love how different it is. Yeah. But at the same time, there's some things that they contradict The Force Awakens and the backstory and the setup that George Lucas established in A New Hope, in my opinion. I feel like this is a decent Rian Johnson sci-fi movie, but it's a really mediocre Star Wars movie, in my opinion, because there's things in this movie that I feel they take so many chances, but at the same time they take risks that don't pay off. And I'm someone who I don't care really. I never really cared about Rey's her heritage. I didn't care about who was Snoke. I really did not care about certain backstories. But then
you didn't care about Snoke.
I care about Snoke, but at the same time, the movie, the Kathleen Kennedy and the people at Lucasfilm, they didn't care about Snoke because they didn't even know who he was either. So that's why they had to kill him off. So that's why I personally was like,
right?
Okay.
They didn't have answers to the questions.
They didn't have answers to the question because there was no backstory. Like in the books, they say that Snoke was there when Luke and Vader and Darth Sidious were in that room in Return of the Jedi. He was around that age. So you're gonna tell me that this guy who is set up to be one of the most powerful human beings on this entire lore of Star Wars, and this guy is able to do force projections for Kylo and Luke, but this guy cannot feel a lightsaber that's right next to him and it gets stabbed by Kylo Ren? I'm sorry, I don't want to rant, but that made no sense to me whatsoever, especially how powerful he was in this movie. There's little things like that. There's like a movie that annoyed the hell out of me that any other Star Wars movie, they wouldn't have let that happen. If that part with Leia should have died in that scene. I completely agree with Sam on that point. Leia should have died in that scene, but because it was Leia and because they had to like do this weird Superman flying thing with Leia and make her fly back to the ship, they had to do that. They were like, oh, we can't have Leia die at this part. But it made no sense to me. Like things like that pissed me off so much because it doesn't make sense. And in this universe, this is a fantasy world where there's sound in space, there's animals and all that stuff, but there's still Star Wars that you have to be faithful to. The fact that if Yoda could strike lightning on that tree, then why doesn't Yoda just go fight Kylo Ren himself and strike lightning at him if that's something possible?
There's lore to back all that up though. Like Force Ghosts affecting the physical world. There's actually lore before the movies.
Yeah, but never established in the movies though. It's never in the movies though.
I'll be right back, fellas. I'll be right back.
We're about to end it. Hold on. We're about to
this movie threw an axe at all your lore. Like, especially with that Yoda scene, there's no more lore. Forget that. Rian Johnson said, "Fuck your lore."
Yeah, but that's the point. That's exactly my point though, because that shows that Kathleen Kennedy and everyone in Lucasfilm is like they don't care. They don't care. And so why should I care if you don't care? That's my point. If they don't care,
but it's still fun.
You know what I mean? That doesn't make that's disrespectful for Star Wars fans who've been loyal even through the prequels. You know what I mean? Like even though I don't care about the prequels, I don't care about the Star Wars books, but even I'm someone who's like that's kind of like fans who I went to Star Wars Celebration this year, and I saw all those fans who camped out for hours to see The Last Jedi trailer, and you were going to tell me that all those fans, like the movie, like all the hype, the people who take their kids to these movies because they want to escape to a new world, and you're going to disrespect like the franchise like that George Lucas set up back in 1977? For me, that's the wrong direction. And in this movie, there's so many things I could talk about hours about the plot holes in this movie that just annoy me to no end, that I feel like JJ could like bring things back to how they should be, and at the same time keep it different, because I don't mind like having a casino world. That's not an issue. I love that. That's a great idea. New creatures, having a whole world, like an underground world, with bounty hunters and like the rich there. That's a genius idea. However, you gotta like still be Star Wars. I felt like that was something from Fantastic Beasts or The Great Gatsby. It was so just not Star Wars. It made no sense. So I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate, but I gotta be honest. And I even though I don't do YouTube anymore, I still have to be honest with people, in general. Even though I know they're not gonna agree with me. So that's my thoughts. I know I'll get a lot of hate, but that's okay because that's just me being honest. That's all one can ask for.
No, Anthony, that's not hate, man. You're passionate and you care about what they do with the story. There's nothing wrong with that. You didn't miss anything, Keaton. Anthony just kind of, talked about his process on how he felt about the movie, which is all good. I want you guys to be able to be honest. You know what I'm saying? Just as long as we don't kind of take it into this triggered moment where we can't, have a real discussion. I think this was all really good. I can't believe we did this for 3 hours though. So
part one. This is just part one.
This is only just part one. We're gonna be revisiting this next Saturday, probably around the same time. So you guys can definitely tune in then. Have some other YouTubers that are watching the movies now. Jarrell actually did a full blackout, kind of like what Mo did. He only saw like the teaser trailer, and he's about to be blindsided. I don't know what he's gonna feel coming out of this movie, but I feel like he's gonna.
Wait, he hasn't seen it yet.
He hasn't seen but nothing but the teaser trailer, bro. He hasn't seen anything but the teaser, so he has no expectations of anything. He's not prepared.
He better be You gotta be careful, like seriously, airplanes with banners are gonna start spoiling that. Like,
I think I should.
Hey, Sam, I gotta go. So thank you guys for having me, though. Thank you guys for having me.
All right, Mo.
All right, Mo. Yeah, thanks for coming, bro.
Peace, Mo.
Peace.
But Anthony, what were you saying? I mean, Jonathan, what were you saying?
I think we might do a blackout for Infinity War because, after seeing that teaser, I know that's just the first trailer of Infinity War, but I know there's a whole lot more that there's there to see. So maybe I might skip out on the next trailer that they decide to show and just, let myself be surprised when I actually see the movie.
So I might do one for that, but it's impossible for me to do a blackout of Black Panther. I'm going to watch
you can't do a blackout of Black Panther. Of course not.
My dashiki is on the way. Bruh, I'm going dressed as Hakeem from Coming to America. Like I might wear a lion like King Joffrey Jafar. Like it's going down.
You're not the first one that said that. I know CJ from 3 Black Geeks said he was doing that. I think Prime said he was doing that as well. Oh my gosh.
It's going, it is going down.
My mom is helping me pick out my accessories for the African skirt that I just bought.
It is going down. I started Millie Rocking back in February. I've been doing it ever since. I am ready. I am ready.
Yo, Keaton, you should come.
I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. I ain't gonna cry on YouTube. But nah, y'all ain't even ready for how extra I'm about to be.
Yo, Keaton, you should come up to do the premiere up here, man.
And I should.
Come up to DC, bro.
I should. That'd be dope.
But we're going to end, you guys. Everybody that was here, definitely go down the description bar below. All their channel information, all their contact information. You can go and follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and their blogs and podcasts. Thanks for everybody that's here right now in the chat. I can't believe still 11 of you guys still here. Y'all have been here this whole entire time, which is insane. We're going to be doing the part 2 next Saturday. I think Akasan is going to be there. Drells Alexander is going to be there. I think Adam Howell is going to be there. Any of you guys that are here now, y'all are more than welcome to come back if you want to, because I'm going to be asking a string of different questions like what the heck happened with Leia? How is that even possible? We didn't even talk about the boundaries of how that didn't make sense. I thought that would have been something that would have been more cooler if Rey would have done it. Leia died and then Rey used the Force to push herself out. I thought that would have been more cooler. We're going to talk about things like that. And so thanks everybody for coming. You guys are awesome.
No problem.
All day.
And in broadcast. Peace, guys.